Here we go. Live.
The following program contains adult themes, nudity, and coarse language. Viewer and parental discretion is advised.
Somehow our innocence is lost.
A little flat on innocence, but other than that, it was great. We'll go again.
One more time.
Somehow our...
That's my sound, man.
Still love it.
Bigger than Marley and Jimmy and Yellow,
Yeah,
and
punch.
I'm not even mulatto. My reggae's watered
Punch.
down. Hear me on the radio,
Punch.
think I could not be blacker, but
This interview is a performance. I go back inside, I'm going to pet the dog.
Whoa. You went all out.
Combing the depths of the TMU for a quarterly review of fact checks, figures, and phrases that you didn't know you needed. It's FOTMCast with your hosts, Toronto Mike, Cam Gordon, and Tyler Campbell.
Hot vocals there. What is this song called? I always want to say it's like Parallel Lines.
Speed
but it's not.
Demons.
Speed Demons, sorry.
Let me know when I read the intro.
Anytime.
Yeah? I didn't know if it was going to turn into something else.
No, this is it. It just does this forever.
Welcome. Because, I made a request for a different song. Did it not work?
You made a request for a different song?
Yeah.
When?
Supermodel. I said supermodel.
Oh, fuck. I didn't realize that you were requesting that. Anyway, well, this will be a post-show.
All right, Fresh. We're going to do supermodel. Okay.
Postmortem.
Welcome to episode 1721 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. Yes, we are open, an award-winning podcast from Monaris, hosted by FOTM Al Grego. Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. Get your butts to Christie Pitts this summer for the best baseball in the city, outside the dome. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. Building Toronto Skyline, a podcast and book from Nick Iones, sponsored by Fusion Corp Construction Management Inc. and Redley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Today, returning for the 6th FOTM cast, it's FOTM Hall of Famer Tyler Campbell. Woo! The VP of Sales and FOTM Hall of Famer Cam Gordon.
Woo! Hello.
I kept waiting for this primetime sports opening theme to morph into Supermodel by RuPaul.
Yeah. See, you mentioned that in the chat, and I didn't pick up on the fact that it was a
Did
request.
you get it, Cam? And you were like...
the vaguely, yeah.
Did you
this
ask,
song
like,
is
what
longer
should
than
be-
I thought.
it goes on a
It
long
goes
time.
forever.
Speed Demons.
Yeah.
Speed
so
Demons.
just to read back the transcript, I asked you a question that you did not answer.
Well,
and
read it. Is it something private?
No,
or-
it's fine. The question was, which change of heart track did we decide had the gong in it? And then
Oh.
you responded with, I liked Supermodel for Ash. So I didn't take that as a...
Oh my God.
Okay,
You know what that
that's
means?
complicated.
You know what that means? I read half of your message and then I just filled in the blanks,
Yeah.
which I do all the time.
Yeah. So
Like I decided, he's asking what song did we decide for the opening theme.
Every other word. That's okay. I think it's going to come up. I mean, we're going to cover a lot of ground.
oh
on this.
God, yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, welcome
Don't sweat
back.
it.
It has been a long... I've seen Tyler, because I saw Tyler at the Watchmen show.
Yes.
You were there with your arch nemesis, Langer.
Yeah.
And
show.
I saw you at TMLX 19, which we'll get to in just a moment. But I don't think I've seen Cam Gordon since the last FOTM cast.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Junes are just so busy for me now because of my job. And then, you guys, end of school year stuff, and there's a lot of events. Like I was at a few events recently, including one I think I mentioned with Evan Solomon, not an art event, but sort of an announcement with the Board of Trade, and just a lot going on. And I got sick right after, as one does. So anyway, good to be back here. Very exciting to be spending literally the last day of the quarter here.
Absolutely.
This is perfect. Glad we got this in the calendar.
Tyler, what was that fun fact you dropped on me?
Yeah, so I was looking back through the episode list, and I realized that FOTMcast was both the first and last episode of this quarter.
Bookends,
baby.
Yeah.
So this is the snake eating its tail here.
Ouroboros,
so to speak.
I believe they call that.
Hey,
Kind of a
Campbell.
human centipede.
2 girls, 1 cup.
The great Cambrio is on the live stream,
Oh.
live.torontomike.com.
That's
I feel like
huge.
Star Wars. There's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Langer is there. He goes, just like The Walking Dead had that live after show. FOTMcast will also have a live after show, but it will just be me yelling in a park.
That's funny.
That checks out. That sounds
J-Ho is here.
Delgado just gave that a laugh.
Okay. Hey Ref is here. Ian Service is here, who was like 100% in on being at TMLX 19. We'll get to that in a minute. But an IT emergency came up, and Ian couldn't make the drive from Guelph.
sad.
So we missed him, but we'll get to TMLX 19 in a moment. Leslie's here. She baked us cookies. We'll get to that in a moment. That sounds like a euphemism, but it's not. Moose Grumpy is here. And a lot of good people. Yoni, and it's just 1236 is here. So please remind us, Tyler Campbell. I almost
Yes.
called you VP of Sales, but you have multiple handles.
Multiple names.
What is FOTMcast?
So glad you asked. FOTMcast is a quarterly event, and we say roughly quarterly because, as I just mentioned, there have been 2 FOTMcasts in this quarter, but it covers the previous quarter of shows, and it's really a very meta look at what happened that past quarter. We'll talk about some of the key episodes, the notable guests, some of the mind blows, and there were quite a few in this quarter. It's really, and you've said this many times, Mike, and I'll just reiterate it now for the crowd that's here. This is for real heads only. If you are a casual, if you just cherry pick, you have to stop listening now because this is not for you.
And we're not fucking around here. Like, if you haven't, if you've only cherry picked 4 episodes in 2025, shut this down.
Can't listen
right now.
Can't listen.
I don't want anyone listening to this show unless they're immersed in the TMU, the Toronto
to be.
Mike universe.
It's a must.
So they'll get nothing out of this.
No.
Exactly.
In fact, we launched a new show, and we'll talk about shows from the previous quarter, but we launched a new show that is the exact opposite of this, because I only want the real heads, those who want to get really super meta, deep dive into the TMU, to listen to FOTMcast, and then I created a show for everyone else, like
Casual.
the great unwashed, like the people who just live in the regular world. or
MSN.
whatever.
Yeah, the CTV watchers.
One note before we, get into right. One note here is that we changed the opening theme. We had a miscommunication, as you might have just heard, and I thought the new opening theme. We used to have the Whitney Houston. What did we have? Barry Harris.
Yeah, it was
Con-Can?
That's right.
Con.
Yeah, the
Con-Can.
remix of the Whitney Houston
Con-Can.
song, which I can never remember the name of. It's
Okay,
like,
but-
that's all right. That's
So
okay. Something like
I
that.
was at
It is
a
no,
wonderful Pride. What do we go? I was at the Pride. What was it?
Pride
Parade.
March.
It's a parade. It's a
Parade.
fucking parade. It's
Yeah.
a parade. Okay. I was at the Pride Parade yesterday,
Yeah.
and Olivia Chow is early in the parade. There's an Olivia Chow bus thing, and she's up and she's dancing hard. Like, I'm early.
Sure.
Like, I literally took Davenport to Bloor, and then I locked up my bike, and then I walked like a little bit south. But that's where it starts, the parade, and then it goes south. So early in the parade, Olivia Chow is just dancing up a storm, like pure mania from Olivia Chow. It's quite something to see. I don't know what she looks like.
Ecstatic.
Like, what's she like at the end of the parade? Is she still able? Like, this is a very fit,
She juices. For the
energetic
parade.
woman. She's got Toronto Mike energy, okay, Olivia Chow. But the song that was pumping from the speakers in this Olivia Chow bus was our old opening theme for FOTMcast.
So
Perfect.
I think that means that Olivia Chow is an FOTMcast head.
Well, you know what? I actually do think so. And again, we play it because that's the remix by Con-Can, who is Barry Harris and is an FOTM.
That's right.
How was the parade? Like how are the vibes down there?
Oh,
like,
good vibes.
And any surprises marching? I saw Gong was in.
Okay, there's a gong. Yeah, there's a gong float, which was a surprise.
Yeah.
I saw Brian Burke walking.
Perfect.
With his
Nice.
with his jersey, his Pride jersey, 88. And I saw, dressed up quite something. I took a photo, FOTM Diane Sachs in this really neat getup. It was pretty cool to see there.
Steve's sister. I'm curious, for those of I had the good fortune to have been in this parade a few times while I worked at Twitter when there was a big tech contingent. There was a lot of news about sponsors pulling out to varying degrees. I'm curious, what was the corporate presence?
Oh, well, Rogers had a big presence. There was actually, so normally, when I watch the Santa Claus parade or whatever, I get pissed off at how damn commercial it is.
Oh, yeah.
But for some reason, the vibe was very different. I was happy to see all these companies stepping up.
Yeah.
And there were I thought there was a lot of big companies that were stepping up. I saw ADP there. Shout out to my brother Steve.
Sure.
And but Rogers had a big. I'm trying to remember the brands now, but there was I think there was a big Kit Kat, a really big Kit Kat float thing of a Kit Kats.
Give me a break. That's good.
Great. And a bunch of brands kind of represented.
Yeah, we love the brands.
That's sponsored by Tony Chapman. That question. Brand chatter.
So let's recap quickly here.
I even asked who the fuck cares? What were the brands? Not celebrating equality.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, but the brands. Let's get back to the brands.
There were some chicken shit brands that chickened out.
Fuck those chicken shit brands.
Thank you, Kit Kat, for representing there. Awesome.
Because they're all together in the package, and they're all it's a good message.
Absolutely. Oh, PBS was there because they had Cookie Monster. You made me think of it. She's a cookie.
Yeah.
And Elmo.
Nice.
And I think the Count, maybe Sesame Street's the Count. The Count was there. Always liked that guy.
Ernie and Bert.
Ernie and Bert, named after characters in It's a Wonderful Life. The cop and the taxi driver.
Elbows down. So we're just letting anyone into this fucking parade. The PBS, NPR bullshit.
You know what? Love. You know what? Fuck America, but I do enjoy the Antique Roadshow on PBS.
Oh, we love that. Yeah. Jay Ferguson from Sloan was on Antiques Roadshow.
Yes. Okay. Well, we're gonna cut to. So let's get into TMLX recap real quick.
Yes. We have to.
I will just lead to say that Cam Gordon wasn't there.
Nope. No Cam Gordon.
No, I have a regular calendar conflict that I shared with this. So as long as I'm at my current employer, it'll be hard to make.
If you ever wondered whether I made the right call getting a new duo for Toast, I just want to say the Toast duo were amazing. We recorded here. That's Rob Bruce and Bob Boulette. We recorded here, and then basically they went straight to GLB, Great Lakes Brewery. They were there before I was, and they were receiving the Palma Pasta, and I biked over. But what a great replacement, Coy Vance. Okay, I gotta say, best decision I ever made was bringing in Rob Bruce and Bob Willen.
I'm right here
because I didn't see Stu Stone.
I like it too. They do a great job.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
So you were there, Tyler Campbell.
I was indeed.
What did you think of TMLX 19?
It was a wonderful evening. The weather was a little iffy, a little chilly, but it turned into a pleasant evening, and a great contingent of FOTMs there. Great to see Rob and Bob, of course. The great Blair Packham was there. 1236 was there.
Mike Epple drove from Whitby.
And then you had a couple of folks who came a very long way.
Yeah, we got to shout out a couple of people. So Greg Siskinen came all the way from St. Catharines.
Great to meet Greg.
And I'm like, oh, that's a long drive. And then I met this sharp-dressed man named Gabriel Layton. And I didn't recognize him at first, but he kind of talked to me like we were best buds. And I'm like, how am I not remembering who this is? I must have met him before. But it turns out I had never met him before. And I found out that he made the trek from, are you ready for this, Cam Gordon?
Sure, hit me.
Montana.
Big Sky Country.
Like the restaurant Montana or the state?
I made the same joke.
One on the Queensway.
Wow.
Montana. Is there one on the Queensway? No. Isn't it like by the airport?
Oh, it's gone now because it's condos.
Yeah.
So is this someone you had ever, messaged with or DM'd with?
Oh, well, for sure, because I've had electronic communications with him.
Sure.
But I asked him, so I said, you were here for something else. And then you said, hey, I'll go to TMLX 19 while I'm in town. He said, no. This trip to Toronto was for TMLX 19.
Like
so
the
Gabriel's
primary.
That's the reason he made the flight from Montana.
He flew
from
into
Montana to Toronto for TMLX 19.
Unbelievable. Borshevsky voice. Unbelievable.
So we got a shout out. Maybe it'll come up later. We'll just do it now to get through the TMLX recap. That Paul Farberman was there.
Yes.
FOTM Paul Farberman. Of course.
I think
the man, his protege, Snow was there, And I'm just here to
Huge.
tell you, we'll talk more Snow soon because he was a big part of this past
Yes, he
quarter. I
was.
can't believe he only joined the TMU in this past quarter. But Snow was amazing, and everybody who wanted a photo with Snow got a photo and could chat him up. And he was so sweet and just so accommodating. And, you know, for the next couple of days on social media, I kept seeing pictures.
Totally.
Robert Lawson posted, "You never know who you'll bump into at GLB." I'm like, where the fuck is the TMLX19 hashtag?
Robert Lawson.
Robert Lawson's pretending like he went for a fresh craft beer at Great Lakes
Stumbled
and
in.
Snow happened to be there.
Yeah.
I made that happen, Lawson. I did that.
We're gonna get to it. I do like if you had seen that photo and didn't know who he was, you'd think he's a retired boxer because he's always
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
And I liked seeing the punch. There's a punch. There's a punch. I like
we'll
hearing
get-
that off the top.
yeah,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Okay,
Yeah.
so
lots of time for that.
So thank you to everyone who came out for TMLX 19. It was a great turnout, about 100 people in total. Everybody enjoyed the Palma Pasta. So thank you, Palma Pasta, for feeding us. I actually got Anthony Petrucci at the end of Toast to take a live recorded phone call. He didn't recognize my voice for a long time, but then he figured it out to find out what to expect. And it turns out we had a bunch of meatballs because he knows I love the meatballs. I never got a meatball.
Oh.
Okay,
A lot
that's
of
how
things.
much I love
Yeah.
the
You
listenership.
didn't get a cookie either.
Leslie Taylor baked cookies.
They were delicious.
Wow.
And I heard nothing but exceptional things about these cookies, and I missed out on the cookies. So no cookies, no meatballs. But when I got home that
Did
night,
they went and toss the cookies?
Not on
After,
site.
out
after
to
that,
Cookie
that's at
Monster.
that's in the park for the after party. But-
Yeah.
shout out to Cookie Monster.
Sure.
But when I got home, there was a little bit of leftover penne that Monica had brought
Oh.
home, and I had a nice plate of penne with the red sauce, that rosé sauce, and it was
Carb-loaded.
delicious.
Love that.
And of course, there was also, of course, lasagna at this event.
You
but
earned it.
everybody enjoyed their beer. So thank you to Great Lakes for hosting. Thank you for buying everybody a beer. Thank you to Palma Pasta for feeding everybody. Thank you to Brad Jones for being there. I saw him at TMLX 19. It's always a pleasure to see him. And thank you to Al Grego, because today is the last episode of the quarter. So today we say goodbye for at least 3 months to Moneris as a wonderful partner of Toronto Mike, that wonderful sponsor. And I urge everyone to listen to season 8 of Yes, We Are Open, an award-winning podcast from FOTM El Grego, who was there for all 3 hours on Thursday, TMLX 19. And I love seeing him there. Woo!
Actually, Al's here. Al works for Moneris, or does he just? It's
No, he works
sponsored?
for Moneris.
Yeah, I actually saw it might be a former colleague of his this week, Amy Lazarus, who's the comms person.
She
works
rose
for
from the dead.
She works for the Board of Trade now. She was helming the Evan Solomon event, so I had a nice catch up with her, and I told her I'm a big fan of Moneris, sponsors my friend's podcast. So.
There you go.
Thank you,
There you
Cam.
go.
You're forgiven
All the
for
pieces
missing
matter. There you
TMLX
go.
19. All the
Making
pieces
connections
matter.
at the Board of Trade for you.
Now, I want to let the listenership go. We're going to get into this. It's going to be a long one, but it's going to be deep and very substantial. But I want to let everybody know that Tyler's laptop is connected to one of my channels in this board, which means any audio that plays on Tyler's laptop, we will hear.
That's right.
We don't know what we're going to hear, right, Kim? We don't know what we're going to hear.
That's right. That was you me coughing off
Yeah,
camera.
I've cranked up all my notifications, so it's just going to be going off like crazy the whole episode.
Hey, if there's an opportunity to squeeze in an extra song, just given this is, end of school year, if we can squeeze in a little love reaction by Harem
yeah.
Scarum,
Yeah,
aka
yeah.
the theme to Degrassi Schools Out,
For sure.
I
Okay, how
would
about
love
this?
it. I'd be very happy.
Tyler's going to play a clip, and I have no idea what this is going to
That's
be.
right.
And then I will, in the meantime, in the background, I'll be looking for Harem Scarum. What's the name of the song?
Love reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, Love Reaction. Okay.
Yeah.
And
So I
that's-
did
yeah,
just
for Andy.
a couple last thoughts on TMLX. A great event. It was great to meet Rob Pruce's wife, Leah, who had made the trip up.
And she's a real head. I bet you she's listening to
yeah.
FOTMcast.
Hello to Leah. It was
100%.
wonderful to chat
She
with you.
was a sweetheart.
Yeah. And
Even though she's American.
well, yes, we
Like Gabriel.
overlooked that. That's right. And thank you to everyone for being so nice to my dad.
Oh my goodness.
Roger, who
Cam, you missed it.
made the trip to TMLX 19.
Your dad.
My dad
Yeah,
was
Oh
so
my
there.
God.
Roger was
Yeah.
there, Roger Campbell.
Right.
And it sounds like he's from Mad Men, Roger Campbell.
That's right.
Campbell. That's good.
We all sang
That's right.
Happy Birthday. It was his 84th birthday.
his
And
84th.
everybody, Roger, I think he loved it.
He did.
Perfect.
He had a great time. He at one point he was sort of sitting in the corner scrolling his phone as he likes to do. But then
okay.
Mike sort of brought him back in for the birthday greetings, and it was a wonderful evening.
Did he
for
have
him.
lasagna or did he go for the penne?
He had some penne,
Okay.
and I think he had a little lasagna as well. He
There you
likes to
go.
mix it up.
Sure.
And he was there primarily because his friend Larry, who is a new client of Mike's,
Larry and his wife Arlene.
that's right, who is Scott Thompson's agent.
Incredible.
They were there. So anyway,
Well, so let me
Small-
I
small
gotta
world.
share something real quick. There's
Please.
gonna be a lot of this, but
yeah.
Larry and Arlene gifted me something that meant a lot to me because they gifted me a TFC scarf that belonged to their late son Alex.
Oh wow.
And it just so happened Elvis, for my birthday, which was on Friday, Elvis gifted me 4 tickets to BMO Field to see TFC on Saturday night. So Monica and I, and then my 2 youngest, we all biked to BMO and soaked in this fantastic TFC match. We won 3-0. It was the best time. And Jarvis had the flag, the scarf that belonged to Alex, and he was hoisting it, and I grabbed a photo and sent it to Larry and Arlene,
nice.
but it was kind of a sweet moment.
Bullseye.
That's
Love
great.
it.
That's great.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Yes. Well, and
Thanks,
speaking
man.
of that, it was Mike's 51st birthday, the day after TMLX, and we didn't have as big a celebration this year as we did last
No
year.
kayak
There was no
this time.
kayak forthcoming, unfortunately. But I do, in honor of your birthday, Mike, I did want to play this.
He's coming out. Here comes Bimbo, and Bimbo's got his own introduction. Here it is.
loaded up too.
Introducing Bimbo, the birthday clown, and the son of Happy.
It's so creepy.
Huge memories, huge nostalgia here.
Terror.
And there's these like 2 poor kids standing there, like just terrified.
Here he is, Bimbo, the birthday clown, with his pocket
Thank you
full of
very
birthday
much,
letters.
Tyler. You
And
know
then,
me.
and then the fucking puppets come out of the ceiling, and it's just
Sounds
yeah.
a lot like fish heads.
It does.
Like same
yeah.
kind of voice.
heads roll
Which was also very scary. There we go.
Oh yeah.
That's more like it.
You know, by request.
Welcome
love
to the
reaction.
summer from hell, gentlemen.
School's out.
Yeah.
School's out, Andy. Andy, a big part of this last quarter in the TMU.
Oh yeah.
Wow. And it was
Oh,
good to
man.
see Andy, and I'm going to shout people out. It was good to see Wiseblot.
Yeah. He and my dad had a long chat. It was
Oh my
great.
God.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And then Wiseblot told Snow he was going to read a review he did of like a, I don't know, some snow thing, maybe 12 inches of snow or something that was negative.
Yeah.
And Snow said, "Oh, so I should beat you up now then?" like a preemptive beat
Hey,
up of.
that's a
I would
punch.
imagine if Snow beat up Wiseblot at TMLX 19. That's better than Brio versus Liz Brio
Yeah.
versus Stu Stone.
Head first into the penne bowl.
Okay, quick story here, and then we're gonna get into the wrap it up segment of FOTMcast. So, I was just going to Shoppers Drug Mart yesterday, and I have to go to a faraway one because they don't have my kind of coffee at the local Shoppers.
I like where this is going. Go on. This sounds interesting.
Buying condoms at Shoppers. No.
Big pile of chips on top.
No, but I had actually run out. Like I had drained the swamp. I have. I'm always subscribed.
Condoms.
I'm subscribed. I got a vasectomy, you know. I subscribe to a bunch of podcasts and then I play them on bike rides. But I've been biking a lot lately, like crazy amount of kilometers, and I drained all my audio, and I needed something to listen to. And then I saw FOTM JD. He has got a podcast that Tyler was on.
Oh, right,
That's right.
right. Yeah.
What's the name of this podcast? Top 40 Countdown.
yeah.
By the way, I recorded about a year ago.
You must have one of the highest ranked songs.
What number are we at
I
in that
think
countdown?
we're in the teens.
Okay, well, let
Yeah.
me know. I want to be number 1, okay?
Yeah.
So I don't know where I will be, but we haven't heard my episode yet. But I just said, it said a bonus episode, and he just put in the head, it said, we're going to dive into In Between Evolution, okay? And I thought, you know what? I really like In Between Evolution, the Tragically Hip album. Let me cue this up, and then for my bike ride, I can listen to JD and his buddy or whatever talk about In Between Evolution. So I just downloaded it and I start playing, and I'm biking. And then he goes, we have a special guest joining us today. He goes, he's a blogger, he's a podcaster. I'm thinking, oh, who is this guy? He's on my turf. Like I'm getting my back up here. And he goes, it's Toronto Mike.
What?
I swear, I had no memory. I didn't know. I guess. And then in the convo, I'm listening. And by the way, I found myself to be very funny. Okay, so this is something I don't remember I have a vague memory that I went to East York for something like a decade ago.
Yeah.
But I didn't ever connect any of these dots. That, oh my God, this is me talking about In Between Evolution with JD and his bud. So I accidentally listened to myself, which is a mind blow to me. And I thought it was very funny. And at some point in the convo, I alluded to my 9-year-old daughter. So I realized, that 9-year-old daughter turns 21.
What?
In July.
Really?
Yeah. So that's how long ago I recorded this thing.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Wow.
And I'm here to say I found myself to be very, very funny.
You said that.
Yeah, to myself as I was biking. I'm like, because I sounded for some reason a bit different. Like I think I don't know, maybe I had less confidence in talking to a microphone back then. So I found I sounded a little different.
You just finished recording with Molly Johnson.
Well, I don't know if it predates that. I gotta say though, I accidentally listened to myself on JD's podcast. It was some bonus app, some previous thing. It was called Fully Completely. I think he called that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought it was just funny to like accidentally like be hearing yourself. Like, how does that happen?
Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now set up the quarter, Tyler. Let's get into this thing.
What a quarter it was. There were a ton of really great episomes. There's a lot of grout, as we've referred to it. A lot of gaps filled in. A lot of mind blows. Like a lot of mind blows. Really, for me, and you guys, feel free to disagree. There were really two big episodes that were like the cornerstones of the quarter.
These are signature episodes.
Yeah, and we're gonna spend a lot of time talking about those in a moment. Okay. And we also lost a couple of FOTMs who we'll talk about. But
one no surprise, one huge shock.
Yeah,
shocker.
Yeah. So let's get into Wrapped.
Wrap it up. I'll take it.
God, I love it. It's so stupid. All right. What a quarter. Q1 of 2025. This was the 52nd quarter of Toronto Mic'd. There were 61 episodes, the busiest quarter since Q1 of 2024. Reminder that the record is 69, a very nice 69 that you recorded.
Wait, how many? I accidentally started reading comments at live.torontomic.com because Al was saying Amy is great. So I wanted to, and I saw that I'm going to get cookies from Leslie apparently, which I wanted to point out. Yeah. And Cambria wanted an update on Peter the Gross. Well, then he should have come to TMLX19. He was there the whole time. You could have asked him anything. And really quickly, Al had a great time, and Moose wanted to make sure we mentioned Roger, and we did.
We did.
And back to you, Tyler. What's the number for this past quarter? Now I'm going to pay attention to you.
Yeah, want me to start
again? Start again. I wasn't even recording
61
that.
episodes
61.
In Q1.
Okay.
The record is 69 from Q2 of 2020, back in the pandemic days. There were 68 individual guests in Q1, which is up from, in Q2. We're talking about Q2, right. Which is up from 59 in Q1.
That's because of the Joe Carter Classic.
That helps for sure.
You pad the stats.
That ups the numbers. 39 first-time guests.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good for a quarter.
Yeah, very good.
39 first-time guests.
It's something interesting to note that in Q3, your third first-time guest will be the 1,000th guest to appear on Toronto Mic.
The third guest of this coming...
The third new guest.
Okay, because I got a new guest
Sorry,
coming
one more
Wednesday.
time, say that?
So the third new guest in the next quarter will be the 1,000th guest in the history of Toronto.
Wow. Okay.
Well, here, let me go to my Google Calendar really quick here.
All right.
So the
Who's it gonna be?
next first-time guest is Wednesday when the greatest snooker player not from the UK drops by, Cliff Thorburn.
Yeah, so he's 998.
Okay. Then we have two... Oh, so you said the third?
Yeah.
There's two guys.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, only one's a first-timer.
Okay.
A guy named Len Lumbers.
Okay, Len Lumbers.
We're going to talk about
999.
Dave Steeb. That's the 7th of July. And now Jill Deacon's been on. Scotty Mack's been on. Oh, you know who it might be?
Who's it going to be?
JD Bunkus.
JD Bunkus, number 1,000.
And if he bails on me, it will be Colin Cripps.
Okay.
What's the snooker guy? Where'd that come from?
It came from Gary Chowan, who cuts. He says, he says, living in Toronto is the greatest snooker player not from the UK.
Amazing.
And he said his stories are unbelievable. And then I said, I don't know a thing about snooker. I can't do this. And that's when I realized I had to do this.
Okay.
Okay.
I have to do it because I'm afraid of it.
Yeah.
Like if I smell like, oh, I'm out of my comfort zone because I
Face
don't know
your
a fucking
fears.
thing. I don't know a thing about Cliff Thorburn, who I
Yeah.
know is a big deal, but I
Yeah.
don't know that world at all. Now I know I have to have a conversation with Cliff Thorburn.
They're like smaller, like snooker balls. If you like them,
I don't even know that.
Table's way bigger.
is that?
Yeah.
God. Okay.
Are the balls smaller?
I think
I feel
maybe
like
a
Tyler
little bit.
would know a snooker, table.
I used to play a little snooker back in the day, you know.
Okay. And snooker, the other one's called billiards. Are those two different things?
Well, billiards is there is a billiards
umbrella?
game,
Okay.
but then billiards is also like the general term for your eight
So, like,
ball, your
pool?
pool, your
but
snooker.
did you know the name Cliff Thorburn?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Okay, because Moose Grumpy
Wow.
said like she's got excited. She was watching Cliff Thorburn in the '80s on TV. Like
Yeah.
this is a big deal.
I
He
feel
was a
like-
world champion.
He was a big deal in the 80s. I feel like there might have even been a commercial, like some endorsement that he had in the 80s. I was trying to see if I could find it, but I can't.
I can see for like Crown Royale, like it's kind of classy.
Yeah.
Like snooker.
Yeah.
They're wearing like a vest.
Oh yeah, you got to have a vest and a bow tie. Yeah,
And a mustache, right?
And he was controversial. Like I think he had there was some drug stuff around.
Oh, wow.
Cliff. Oh yeah.
Oh.
Okay, we're gonna get into it.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that's Wednesday, everybody at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. He's got an Order of Canada, by the way, because we just learned an FOTM is getting the Order of Canada. Ebony Rowe
Oh.
is getting the Order of Canada. And then I thought, oh, that's pretty amazing. But then I realized tomorrow Donovan Bailey drops by. He's
Yeah.
got the Order of Canada, but it's for his show. And then Wednesday, Cliff Thorburn drops by. He's got the Order of Canada. And it's only a matter of time before Ed Keenan gets his Order of Canada. But please pick it up, Tyler.
Absolutely. Just last sort of fun fact about the quarter: 2 new members of the 10-timer club. The great Blair Packham, of course.
Wow.
And then everyone's favorite, lowest of the low, lead singer Ron Hawkins joined the 10-timer
those are two big
club
ones.
as well. Yeah, so there are now 23 members of the illustrious 10-timer club.
And it was good to see Blair Packham at TMLX 19.
Yes, it was. Yeah, looking very sharp.
Reuniting with Snow.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
It was a big deal. They did a tour together.
Yeah.
Sorry. I
Cam.
just rolled
ignore
over the
Cam.
cable.
Why is he even here? Do we need him?
We need Cam.
Too gangly.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, carry on.
All right. So that's sort of the numbers for the quarter. I know we talked a little bit about maybe you pulling some audio for the 2 FOTMs.
Oh, let's
that we
remember,
lost.
we did lose a couple of FOTMs this past quarter, and it's always sad here. Let's start with this gentleman, when he was on my program, talked about how many ailments he's had and how sickly he was, and he knew he was on the clock, and so there was no shock when he passed away, but it was very, very sad. I'll play a clip. Before I play it, I'll tell you I had a conversation with Stephen Page at the Sloan garage sale that I attended, and Stephen thanked me for reissuing, if you will, the Mark Nathan episode, because Mark Nathan passed away. Good FOTM. Here's a clip.
A guy named Seymour Stein said to me, Mark, they're like Simon and Garfunkel for the 90s. And that was a man with great vision. And he signed Talking Heads, he signed the Ramones, he signed Madonna. I mean, the list goes on. And he signed both Bare Naked Ladies and Maren Cadell. Now, I was managing Maren Cadell. I was not managing Bare Naked Ladies. And I ended up being an honorary Gordon without participation, but I made lifelong friends. And I was lifelong friends with Stephen and Ed, and later Kevin Hearn, and of course Tyler and Jim. But when Stephen and the ladies split, my allegiance kind of moved more towards Stephen. And the rest of, Kevin and I are still in touch, but the rest of the guys and I are a bit estranged, though everybody does remember that I brought Bare Naked Ladies to Sire Records in 1991, much to the chagrin of their manager, Nigel Best, at the time, but that's a whole nother story.
Mark Nathan, we lost him. It's sad to hear. Now, shockingly, so that was sad, but not a shock. This one was a major surprise. Seemingly healthy 54-year-old woman just seemed to be on the top of her game, to be quite honest. But let's listen to a clip from Juliet Powell.
That's a longer story. So I was actually introduced to Moses while I was still in Toronto. I think I was still Miss Canada or had just given back the crown. But for whatever reason, I'm at what was called the Sky Dome at that point. And Moses is there, and I have no idea who he is. And a friend of mine, Anik Kavukian, who is an amazing photographer, decides that I should meet Moses. And so he introduces me to him. And again, I have no idea who this person is. And I don't know whether Moses even registers that I really don't know, but he said, do you want to be in television? And I said, sure. And he said, well, to be in television, you must adhere to my church. And I look at him, and now I really don't understand what's going on. And I don't know Moses' personality or where he's coming from. So I just said what was true to my heart, which is I don't follow anybody else's church but mine. And I walked away. Years later, I am in Montreal, and that whole adventure that I just told you about, I do this audition and I get this job to be a VJ on Musique Plus. And Pierre Marchand tells me, you don't actually have this job until Moses says you have this job and he's going to call you. And I get this phone call, and I was painting my balcony at the time. I'm covered in paint, and hey, it's Moses. And I'm sitting at Shed Cafe on Saint Laurent Boulevard. Come meet me for lunch. You don't have this job yet. And I'm like, great, this bodes well. So I run down to Shed Cafe, and we order burgers, and he proceeds to he removes the bun, and he's like cutting his burger with a knife and fork. And I had never seen anything like that before. And I just start laughing. And I said, you don't remember me, do you? And he said, no. And I said, oh yeah, that whole, you must adhere to my church. And I only want to adhere to mine. So Moses, if, I have to adhere to your church, I'm not the right person for you. But if you're willing to work with me, if we can work together, then let's do this. And that was it. Actually, a friendship was born. And
there you go. And I did, subsequent to after Juliet passed away, I did see Moses do some press and talk about her. And he says he didn't remember how it all came to be. Well, Juliet remembers, and there's the story straight from Juliet Powell, who we lost far too soon. My goodness.
Yeah, this one was a complete shocker. One of those people, I think we all saw tons of people from the media and, kind of the Canadian industry, music and other realms just seemed to have 100% approval rating. Just like someone who was just literally was like a star. Like not to sound too like Moses, but like, you're a star, baby.
No, I was at
totally like she jumped off the screen. Like she was awesome.
I was at the Hollywood Sweet Breakfast, which is a David Kynan's event, and it was at the King Eddie Hotel, and I was there, and she completely, first of all, she's very tall, and she's gorgeous, and she just sort of has this presence about her. Like, I was afraid to go up to Juliet Powell and say hello. Like, I felt intimidated by this person. I remember distinctly, I kind of want to go say hi, because that's the woman who was hosting Electric Circus, for goodness sake. She took over for Monica Diol. Didn't have the courage. Couldn't come at a worse time.
Wait, was that before or after?
Before. I would have definitely done it after.
Yeah.
Would have definitely done
it. I'm actually just on the Wikipedia page for Much Music. If this is accurate, she's actually the only second Much personality to pass away, which is pretty remarkable. I could be missing some names.
Well, we can do this. There's definitely Gallagher.
Yeah, exactly. Which is like
Dan Gallagher.
24 years ago.
Not John Gallagher. He's still with us. What time is it? Let's make sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Dan Gallagher definitely was the first to go.
Yeah, I'm just scanning the list.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
There's a sum that it's
40.
Check the clock. The day is young, but yeah,
that is amazing. Yeah. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway,
so Dan brutal. Gallagher, who left us a long time ago.
Yeah.
And now we've lost Juliet Powell, who nobody saw that one coming. That is quite the. It's pretty good that only two have passed away.
Anyway, just a tragedy. It's a tragedy when anyone dies, but especially that young. Also, we're all around that age.
Not for nothing, because Julia Powell was a healthy 54-year-old woman, very active, seemingly healthy. But it seems to me, if you look at all the FOTMs have passed away, a great percentage of FOTMs who have passed away join me remotely. Now, I feel like there might be a reason for that. Like maybe Alexander Mayer couldn't visit the basement because he was unwell. And who is the phone? Oh, yeah. Bob Segarini maybe wasn't in any condition to visit the basement.
Yeah.
And of course, Andrew Crystal was a phoner. There's very few, I'm trying to think now, but there's the drummer for the Jeff Healey band. He was in the basement.
Tom Stephen.
Right. But the overwhelming majority of FOTMs who have left us were not in the basement.
Yeah.
So get in the basement, everybody.
It's critical to your health.
Good for your health.
Yeah, no, Julia Powell was really remarkable, like almost too smart to be on TV, in the media.
I hate to say, like, when I see her resume too, that and this is not to disparage anybody working Canada, but like seem like beyond board. Like she just seemed worldly, kind of a citizen of the world, like through and through, and really had an intangible, again, star quality. You can't quite put your finger on it.
First black woman to be named Miss Canada.
Sure, yeah, amongst many other sort of accomplishments.
Sure. And while she was at Much hosting Electric Circus, she was getting a degree from U of T in economics, I believe. And then she parlayed that into covering business or whatnot for CP24, which is in the same family as Much Music. And then she was off to New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now she was teaching, writing.
She was doing AI. She was sort of
TED Talks.
Her finger on the pulse of innovation and trend. Yeah. Brutal.
Gone far too soon. Wow. Okay. All right, now pick us up here. This is I'm all bummed out now.
All right, so we sort of talked about this a little bit. We kind of started doing this halfway through our conversation the last quarter, but let's just run through every episode from the quarter, and I'm sure there'll be some thoughts that come up. I do have some clips that I'll sprinkle in throughout, specifically around a few key episodes. But let's just.
Are you driving this, or am
I'll
I
drive
doing
it?
this? Okay,
I'll drive
go
it.
ahead.
All right, so we started with FOTMcast, of course. That was the early leader for episode of the quarter.
It had the lead.
It had the lead. Mike Devine was on
Party Dog.
Party
I have
Dog,
his stickers. The party, here it is, right here. So here you go.
Oh wow.
He was party. You want a sticker? Party Dog sticker? Okay, this is the Mike Devine.
So
this
one's a blind. Who's
okay,
that?
so he's a radio guy, but he was on Evanov station.
Right.
Party Dog.
Yeah.
Party Dog. So
Yeah.
is it Z103?
Party Dog.
Z103.
Okay.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my chat with Mike Devine.
Yeah,
I like to talk radio once in a while.
Yeah.
So.
The great Ed Keenan, of course, for his quarterly. Always a highlight.
He's back this week.
Set your watch to that one.
Harkness and Maria Markina.
Okay, very interesting.
So Harkness dresses like it was kind of a bananas episode. Harkness dresses like a space.
Yeah. Like an alien.
I don't know what kind of like a space cadet.
Was this Kip Harkness?
No.
He doesn't dress like a space.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Right.
he's just he wore glasses and this outfit like he was coming from like a Star Wars
And
film shoot or
Maria
something.
made a documentary about him.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So you had two, I guess we'll get to it, but I feel like you had two guests in full regalia this quarter. Like Doo would be like another one, and arguably Sue Stone every single.
Yeah, but Doo zoomed in.
True. Yeah.
You better see a doctor and make sure he's okay.
Yeah. But he was in character.
He was in character. Yes.
Yeah.
He was
terms.
kind of bananas. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But you're right. I know who you're talking about. Who was also in character, but he only got in that costume for the photo by the tree. The actual sitting here, he was the.
Real talk.
The professor was not dressed up. But the real talk is here. Prickleworth. Prickle something.
Pricklethorn?
Pricklethorn. That's it. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So please continue.
Yes. Chef Jordan Wagman, great chat with him. He's
Love that
working
guy.
at like a wellness retreat up north somewhere.
Right.
That was a good episode. That was just about a good one about aging. From
Yeah.
what I recall. Just
Yeah, and being a dad and
He's got a great story. He just got divorced and
Okay.
So the next three are very interesting. They're all connected, and I do have some audio to play.
Oh, now I know why you're asking about the gong.
That's right. So 1666 was Glenn Milcham, the drummer for Blue Rodeo.
That's a big one, right?
Yeah, that was great.
There's tears.
Yeah, he's a very emotional fella, that Glenn Milcham.
Yeah, and who was with me? It was Cam. You were with. Were you both with me at the
Change of Heart?
Change of Heart
saw him
show?
a few days later. Yeah.
It's all the fucking blur. Yeah, I saw him there.
Yeah. And he was in Change of Heart, obviously. He cried in the Blue Rodeo documentary, and he cried on your show.
I really enjoyed it, and I got a nice happy birthday wish from Glenn Milcham.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice dude.
Nice. So 1667 then was Gil Moore.
Wow.
Of Triumph.
That's a big one, right?
In the basement.
Before we knew he was going to be the star of Hockey
God.
Night in Canada.
If I never hear that song ever again, it will be too soon.
Okay.
Not be too soon.
Who was it in the Trout Star? Like they did the article about the resurgence and like trying to describe it's like when you're playing hockey, you're literally laying it on. It was like a music analyst or something.
Who did write that? Was it Gilles LeBlanc?
I don't know.
I don't know if he wrote it, but they had like a commentator like talking to it. It wasn't Alan Cross. Like it was one of sort of the.
I wish it was Alan Cross.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who it was? I think it was an FOTM, but I believe it was Perry Lefko.
Oh, yeah, that checks out.
You know, and I thought it was you would have got more depth by listening to Toronto Mike.
Yeah.
But okay.
And then right after Gil was Ian Blurton.
Is there a better trifecta in all of Canadian podcasting?
Yeah, the way that those three
Glenn,
episodes,
Gil, and Ian back to back to back.
Yeah, 1236 confirms Perry Lefko.
Very good. Thank you.
Lay it on the line.
Oh yeah,
is that the name of the song? Lay it on.
Yeah, and frankly, that's kind of what we're doing here right now.
That's true.
Laying it on the line.
I always get that song. What's the song from Toto that?
Hold the line.
Hold the line. So
yeah.
Sometimes in my head, I'm thinking lay it on the line and hold the line. They merge.
Yeah.
So you got to lay it on the line, then you hold the line.
That's right.
In that order.
But it's got to cross the line to be a goal.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's be clear about that. You got to see some white space between the puck and the line.
Yeah. Then you got to walk the line.
Because you're mine.
That's right. Anyway, some great stories in those 3 episodes, and really the thing that I think has been a recurring theme throughout this quarter has been the gong story. And just to sort of set it up, there is on Smile by Change of Heart, there is a gong that is played, and we think we know where it is, but I was trying to get you to tell me which song it was, but if you
gong had a float. It's at the end of a song called "Give It Back."
Okay, there we go.
From what I recall, like Ian Blurton couldn't recall which.
That's
song
right.
was
So
on
let me just play this clip, and then we can chat about it a bit more.
Gilmore is credited with playing the gongs.
Yes.
And then I went to Jason Schneider before Gil was on. And I said, "Hey, what song on Smile is Gilmore on?" And Jason said, "I don't know, the one with gongs on it." And then I actually thought, okay, well, I would pull it and play it for him. But then I just asked him straight out, "Gil, do you remember contributing to Change of Heart Smile?" And he has zero recollection of it. Like, he had no idea.
That's a good laugh.
No idea.
Got a good
So
laugh.
you're here now, and I'm actually wondering.
That is amazing.
Yeah, he has no. Actually, here it is. I have it here. Okay, so I do have this clip. So I pulled it and put it on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to now. I found it. This is an exciting moment. Let's listen to that moment on Toronto Mic'd yesterday. Tomorrow, sitting in that chair is Ian Blurton, because Change of Heart has a new album. And here's the fun fact mind blow for you. And I think you might know where it's going. But Glenn Milcham, obviously Ian Blurton, and yourself, you all played on Change of Heart's classic album Smile. You're credited with playing the gong on this album. Do you remember playing on Change of Heart's Smile in 1992?
Stumped. I don't.
See, that's wild. So if you're credited as playing the gong.
Sounds like Ted
and then I
DiBiase.
asked Jason Schneider, like, what track is he playing the gong? And Jason's like, whatever track has gong on it. Okay, so I'll be asking Ian tomorrow,
Schneider.
but you don't have any memory of contributing your gong playing to Smile.
No, but let's face it. You know, gong is essential, and you
Gotta have more gong.
You got to have more gong. I mean, that's a certainty.
There you go, Ian.
That's amazing.
So what do you remember? I hope you remember. What was Gilmore from Triumph's contribution to Smile?
It was literally, we were like, we need a gong in this part of the song, and who better to play the gong than Gilmore of Triumph?
Right.
And somehow, I think it was Michael got a hold of somebody at Metalworks, and they were like, can you set up a gong and get Gil to hit it like, 5 times or 10 times or whatever, and then we'll pick the best one and we'll fly it in. And so we got this tape back, and I'm pretty sure he's talking on there too. So
because I was gonna say they probably had some intern hit the fucking gong and they sent it and said
no. They would no.
See,
rock and roll doesn't do that.
Rock and roll would never lie like that. Okay, so Gilmore hits a gong. What song is it?
I couldn't even tell you actually at this point.
So now Jason doesn't feel so bad because he couldn't tell me either. No. Okay, so there we are. Finally, I think this is the purpose of Toronto Mike. Just like, let's figure out, was Gilmore on Smile? Like, it's such a wild
No,
credit.
he's definitely on Smile. Like, yeah, I'm almost 100% like, is that gong hit okay? Do you want another? Like, there's some of that in between the gongs.
But you're not witnessing him hitting the gong.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Okay, so it's possible that an intern hit that
Don't
gong.
ruin.
Let's update Discogs or whatever. Let's get this right, okay? We're the truthers here, the gong truthers, okay? So fuck boot sauce. The gong.
Hey, whoa! I didn't say that.
Fuck boot sauce.
Yeah, fuck boot sauce. So that's part one of the gong story, but there's more.
You know, I'm so invested in this. I
more.
told you I want to make a mockumentary.
Well, I think
so
we've made the mockumentary. I think we've made the mockumentary. It's here.
Carve this out.
Yeah. So then later in the episode, Ian remembers a very important detail about this gong story, and I'll play that for you.
Gong produced by Bobsy. So there's
so somebody named Bobsy at Metalworks.
It's wild. I think it's wild. There's a doc in here somewhere. Okay,
I know who it was. It was Bob Wiseman.
Okay.
That's Bobsy.
Oh my God! Hold on.
Sorry.
Hold on. No, don't be sorry.
That's who it was. It was Bob Wiseman was working, and Don managed. Thank you. That was great. Don Christensen was managing Bob Wiseman as well as Change of Heart. Bob was producing a band at Metalworks. He was like, "Hey, Gil, hit the gong." That was it.
That's an unbelievable wrinkle to this story. Bob Wiseman, who I had an hour with down here.
Right.
Just the most interesting, artistic musician, like just fascinating. And of course, because I just had Glenn Milcham on, we did a bunch of Bob Wiseman talk because, you know, he quits the band. He quits Blue Rodeo. He's unbelievable. So that's Bobsy. Produces.
I don't know why it doesn't say Bob Wiseman, actually.
Okay, so by the way, that was wonderful detail for you to recall here, that it's Bob Wiseman who's directing Gil Moore to play the gong on Smile.
Yes.
Jeez. That's the granularity I'm looking for, Tyler. I think because I want to lose the pretenders, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want anyone. If you're still listening to FOTMcast, you got to be truly
filter that out.
Devoted to the TMU.
Yeah, I think once the 5-minute clips start playing, that's when
we lost MF. I think half an hour ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a remarkable little trio of
there's
episodes.
another wrinkle, right? Because I had scheduled to appear during this last quarter Colin Cripps to make his Toronto Mike debut, and he kind of stood me up by accident, and then an emergency replacement was Mike Boguski, who came over. But Mike told me via text he was bringing over Bobby Wiseman with him because they're doing something together. And I was all set to talk to Bobby Wiseman about his role in this because that's the missing link, right? We need to talk to Bobby Wiseman about him producing the gong.
Yeah.
Played by Gil Moore. I got to say that name like that. Otherwise, people think Doug Gilmour is on the fucking album. But yeah, we almost had Bobby Wiseman in the basement last week.
Crazy.
Well, yeah.
How did that work? Did you just like text Boguski? It's like, hey, I need a ringer. Like
we talk about it in the beginning of the Boguski episode.
Yeah.
But no, I was looking for Colin Cripps, who was like locked and loaded for like 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it's now 11:15, and I'm like, who do I know and who can I call in Blue Rodeo to get the number for Colin Cripps? And I'm like, I'm gonna phone Boguski and get Colin Cripps' number. So I phone Boguski. He answers the phone. And I'm like, I need Colin Cripps' number. He stood me up and he sends me the number and I phone Colin Cripps. I have a convo. And then he's like, so you have an opening? Like as if that's how Toronto Mike works. Okay. I'm like, yeah, I got like a little time right now. And he goes, okay, I'm coming over with Bobby Wiseman. He did not bring Bobby Wiseman.
No Bobby Wiseman.
But it was a great chat. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah, it was a fun little episode. Yeah. Why not?
And I found out his wife, Eva, shares the same birthday as me.
Perfect.
Mind blow.
There you go. Okay, please continue, Tyler. This is
right.
great.
Okay.
We've lost everyone
They're
but
gone.
the real heads.
We cleared them out.
Even Langer just checked out, who's 19 for 19 again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael Lang, for coming to all 19 Toronto Mike listener experiences.
Go fuck yourself.
Tyler hasn't been to all 19.
I haven't. I missed a few at the beginning.
And Cam's not even close.
Yeah.
No.
All right. So that little trio was and I don't think you purposely scheduled it that way. It just kind of worked out
Just happened.
beautifully. Then we had Blair
I don't
Packham's
purposely do anything.
No, exactly. We had Blair Packham's return, his first of 2 appearances in the quarter.
Although I think that was his best appearance of all time.
It was great.
We talked about his girlfriend who took her own life and
Yes.
how he dealt with that. It was real talk.
Yeah, it was. It was great to hear Blair open up like that. Crystal Shawanda was a fun episode.
Oh yeah, I thought maybe she left her glasses behind. There is a whole like.
Did you ever find out whose glasses they were?
So you got a name coming up, but it's somebody in this next coming stretch left their glasses here.
Can't wait.
When we get to this guy's name, I'll explain that he's currently got them, but they're not his.
Okay.
But I enjoyed talking to Crystal.
Plot twist.
Then we had the Remembering Mark Nathan episode, which we just talked about. Mark Gord Miller returned.
Another great visit from Gord, and I wrote Gord and said, Gord, did you leave glasses? And he's like, oh yeah. He says, yeah. So I bike to Midtown for Midtown Gord Miller. Okay, I bike. And
does he love Lee Aaron too?
Well, who doesn't?
Yeah. Sure.
I left my glasses with Gord Miller. Not my glasses. I thought they were his glasses. And then Gord writes me later after this nice long bike ride. He says, they're not mine. So I'm like, why did you tell me you left glasses? So he's got them still. But I haven't found the real owner, but all these people we're about to talk to, I've asked them if they left glasses and nobody seems to have left them.
Wow, this hopefully we'll get an update.
Compelling audio.
Please continue.
Yeah, stay tuned for the update in Q3. Samantha Kivas, the KTEL episode.
I enjoyed my KTEL deep dive.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. The first of 3 toasts with Bob and Rob. George Smitherman.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I enjoyed. It was great. Sure. He doesn't hold back. You can ask him anything. He was great. George Smitherman.
Yeah.
He was in the calendar when the pandemic hit.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
But in there he was.
Furious
in the
George.
basement. Furious George.
Furious George.
And I believe he came on. He's a bud of Sir Jerry Levitan.
Oh yeah, that's right. And who was the other? Chris Drew, right? Does he work for George or worked for George?
Chris. Yeah, anybody in regarding public policy of any nature, Chris Drew is in the know.
Sure.
That guy's got his he's got his mitts and everything.
Yeah.
He's great at FOTM. Yeah, he's
Has Gil Meslin ever been invited here?
I don't. I have not had Gil Meslin. I almost said Gil, not to be confused with Gil Moore.
Yeah.
I haven't had him on. No.
Gil Meslin hit the gong on the latest.
Okay, this guy better watch his back. He was remote. Jack Mesley. I'm now taking over.
Skipped one. You skipped one.
I skipped one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you doing?
Come on, you're in charge.
Who's Jack Mesley?
I'll fix it in post. You know what? Cam, should he even be a part of FOTMcast? I get the feeling he's a.
I got a lot of notes. I got a lot of notes on these.
Cam carries the back half.
Yeah,
of
look at all these names.
Oh
like
my
these,
God.
I got a lot.
Yeah.
You know, you do cherry pick, right? Like
Yeah.
I need to
Sure.
know. Can I go to everybody at TMO.
It's like 60 episodes.
Okay, but Tyler, do you listen to everything?
So there were like 4 that I missed this quarter.
Well, let me know the 4.
I'm not going to tell you. Culture Reject.
I loved Culture Reject.
Yeah, I love that episode.
I listened to that too. That was a good one.
Thank you. Michael O'Connell.
Yeah, that guy seems like a serious dude, you know, like just a really cool guy. Gives a shit about his art, gives a shit about the community.
And I think he loved being celebrated for that song that was on my playlist.
This is like
for
a
15 years.
micro version, Searching for Sugar Man. Sort of like that. A bit of that. You know.
Although I only started looking for him like 15 years deep. I said I better look for him, and I found him right away.
Sure.
Very easy to
Not
find.
as big as South Africa.
He lived in
but
the
still.
same complex as FOTM Carolyn Taylor.
Oh, that's right. And
sister of Cookie Bear.
That's a fun fact.
Pete Crichton, who we'll talk about.
And
in a minute
Pete
as well.
Crichton
Yeah,
will come up later.
Yeah.
Also a friend of Carolyn Taylor.
Oh, in that like artist.
Yeah.
Oh my
and
god.
They got
That's
Reno
cool.
evicted.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. No, that was. I really enjoyed that episode.
Classic Toronto.
And I've actually listened to more of his music, and I quite enjoy it.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah. All right, here's your beloved Jack Mesley episode. All right.
Cousin of FOTM, Wendy Mesley.
Yeah. So he was an iron worker who worked on the CN Tower.
All right.
So he was up there though 50 years ago when the CN Tower was finished, where that helicopter, Olga they call the helicopter, put up the final part. He was, doing his thing up there on top of the CN Tower.
Yeah. I will say that this is one episode that I did not listen to.
You know what? You're missing out, man.
I planned to listen to it, but it was a busy quarter.
Life
and
got in the way.
Life got in the way. I will go back and listen.
Shame.
To Jack. Yeah.
Shame.
I do feel shame.
Jack Mesley.
The great Arlene Lott was next.
Oh my god.
Queen of Pies.
Oh my
Queen of
god.
Pies.
How was that pie?
Oh god. So
Looks
thank
so
you.
good.
So I've never had a pie with so much blueberry, like the ratio of blueberry to crust was like 20-1. That must have been a $200 pie.
Totally. Did the kids have
Blueberries
the
aren't
pie?
cheap. I'm a big guy. I make these parfaits with the blueberries, and I like the fresh blueberries.
Sure.
They're not cheap blueberries.
No,
I'm
they
going
don't give
broke.
those away.
I got to raise my rates to keep myself with the blueberries for my parfaits. Seriously, I had blueberries this morning,
Yeah.
but this was so much blueberry, and it was so good.
Yeah. She was delightful too. Just what a great energy.
And Andy was in the basement for that as
We
well.
got to shout out my co-host for that episode because she wore her Degrassi jacket and she was almost too nervous to do it. I'm like, Andy, just fucking do it.
Yeah.
And she was great.
Yeah.
I thought it was to sort of go with this baker and like the right mix of ingredients. You know, a bit of Degrassi, a bit of baking, a bit
That's
of
why he's here.
a bit of Wilner. Okay, I'm getting warmed up now.
Yeah,
you know,
here we
but
go.
the cold meds are
Cam's checking in.
So let's not bury that lead. She is dating FOTM Mike Wilner.
Lover of Mike Wilner.
Fun couple.
Yeah.
I believe they're intimate.
Yeah. Good. Good for them. Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Neat.
I enjoyed that episode.
Yeah, she was great.
All right.
A lot of Degrassi
1679.
chat.
Yeah. 1679.
Big one.
Andrew Scott of Sloan.
Oh my God.
That's a big one.
I hope you have do you have clips from
So I do have a clip, but it's coming later because it's in the lexicon.
Yeah, I know it is. Yeah. And it's been used by other artists.
That's right.
It was used in the Lois L.O. episode.
Yeah.
It's been quoted by people. It's become part of the lexicon.
Yeah. So you now have the complete Sloan set.
I'm honored to have. Now I'm ready. Should we reveal? We're gonna make a Sloan mockumentary.
We should reveal that. Yeah.
Is this the time?
Yeah.
Just did. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It's out there now.
There's going to be
Alert the
a
media.
Sloan mockumentary. So if anyone else is working on one, I've now announced it.
Shut it down.
Get off my fucking turf.
I think Sloan, a complicated history.
You know, okay. So early, remember, I accidentally listened to myself on that old.
You found
JD
yourself to be
podcast?
hilarious.
I found that to be very funny.
Just happened to walk in the door and
Early in that episode, you should hear it. It's like in the feed from this past weekend.
Yeah.
I tell a story that you, Tyler, and I met to discuss. I think we met at Great Lakes Brewery. We met to discuss a podcast on the Tragically Hip.
That's right.
And we were going to do a podcast on the Tragically Hip.
Yep.
But then JD did it before us, and he did such a good job. We abandoned the plans.
It was literally the next week after you and I chatted.
So I tell this story off the top to tell them what a good job they're doing, that we actually abandoned our plans.
Yeah.
So if anybody puts out a fucking Sloan audio documentary over the next month or so, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
You do know there is the Sloan cast. It's like the fan documentary.
I know.
about Sloan.
I believe.
I guess
but
that's kind of different.
Is
though.
it? Can I ask? Is it produced by the Sloan people, or is it completely?
No,
a third party?
it's they have individual guests, and they're always either they have had a lot of the members of Sloan, but they'll have like people who worked at Murder Records and people from some of the other bands, and I think they had like
abandon that plan,
photographers.
Tyler.
Yeah, so it's a little different.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you've got a unique.
Yeah, Sloan cast. He's got it right here.
Here we go.
And mine's warts and all.
They've done 60 episodes.
I will say Andrew Scott is one of those musicians who almost doesn't seem like a musician. Like I think of him more as an athlete because he's so
hockey player.
quiet. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
kind of strapping. But he's really into like visual art and stuff.
And he wears
really
the
interesting
Cincinnati
guy.
Reds hat. You guys heard the episode,
Yeah.
but he wears his Reds hat, and then you want to talk to him about like Charlie
totally,
Hustle or
like-
something. He's like, "What are we talking
Well,
about?"
you brought up Chris Sabo. Totally no sold it.
Nothing.
Just
Yeah.
crickets.
But he likes the hat.
Yeah. What a fascinating guy. Very, to your point, Cam, very soft spoken.
Cerebral.
Very cerebral. Yeah. And it's so interesting now that you've had all four of them on, just to see the different personalities and how that band
100%.
works because of those different personalities.
And they're all different.
I do think, and I think we talked with like this mockumentary is going to be a bit of the psychological study. I know we were kind of joking about it, but it's how
I've
do you
already mapped it out in my head because all four have a different personality type.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to see how they work together.
Yeah.
That's right.
What a great band though.
Oh, yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Great fucking
They're
band.
playing tomorrow for Canada Day in Waterloo for free.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Love Sloan. And that's why I went to their garage sale last month.
Did you get any
Yeah,
merch?
I bought a t-shirt.
Was it like Mo Berg was like kicking around?
I said hi.
Page?
Yeah, Stephen Page and Mo Berg were just hanging around and got to chat them up. And that's when Stephen Page thanked me for the Mark Nathan episode because he was very close to Mark Nathan.
Yeah.
Lovely. All right. Moving on.
And more Stephen Page will come up in the snow chat, which we'll get to.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
We need 90 minutes for the snow chat. So let's
Yeah, we've got
burn
so
here.
much.
Holy
We got so
fuck.
much to cover. All right, Mike on CNN, 1680. You made your second appearance on CNN this quarter.
Is that where we're at though? We just brush by the fact that Mike goes on CNN.
I mean, I think at this point it's old news.
What do you think, Cam?
Big quarter, yeah.
How did this one compare to the first one for you?
Well, the biggest difference is they didn't put this one on the CNN YouTube channel.
Yeah, what's up with that?
So that means that your people who consumed you is a small percentage of what happened the first time.
Yeah.
The first time there was like whatever 400,000 people watch you or whatever. So I don't know how they decide what gets to the YouTube channel, but it didn't make it. But I mean, fuck, it was good. I felt more comfortable. Like I think the third time I'm going to be hilarious, just like I was with JD.
It was very fast. This one, it was like 2 minutes and out.
I was gonna say, like, the federal election does not seem like it was this past quarter.
Yeah.
Either it seems like it was so long ago, I guess, because it was just such a whirlwind with like Trudeau stepping down and that whole thing. But
no doubt,
what a blur.
Yeah.
What a blur.
Yeah.
Okay, but I was on CNN. Everybody,
you were on CNN for a second time. All right. Devin Haru.
He was great.
He was wonderful. Yeah, seemed like a good chap. Seemed like you guys hit it off.
We did, in fact.
Did you see him at Pride yesterday? He was there.
I'm sure he was there. I did not see him at Pride yesterday.
Yeah, okay.
No, but he will be at future TMLX events.
Good. Yeah, he seems like a good dude. Paul Fisher.
That's another radio one.
Yeah,
okay. That was a crowd episode.
Yes,
that was good.
Lots of good
enjoyed
crowd
that.
Yeah,
good crowd.
Kire Paputz.
I enjoyed his documentary.
Yeah,
and I
like
enjoyed the
that
chat.
too. I like that documentary too. Always having a nice time, I think, or always having a good time, something like that. Yeah,
Parkdale people.
Yeah, no, it was really, really well done.
And who would have thought he'd make 2 appearances?
Yeah,
this quarter?
he first of 2 appearances in the quarter.
He seems like an old soul, like sort of from a different generation, even though he's a pretty young guy.
Yeah,
from what I can tell.
And his dad was in the Vile Tones.
Chris Haight.
Yeah.
Chris Haight.
Yeah. All right. 1684 was Brendan Canning.
That's a big one, right?
Yeah. Lots of interesting stuff for Mr. Canning. Obviously, the Broken Social Scene stuff. Head. He's been around the music scene, the Toronto music scene, forever, it seems, and has sort of been involved with almost every band, it seems.
Well, I like the fact this was back to back with the next guest because of this guy's role in a big jam to come out of this city called "Steal My Sunshine."
Absolutely. And let's hear Mr. Canning talk about that.
Now, there's another huge Toronto jam, though, I want to play a little bit of and just find out if you have any role in this at all.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
Wrong version, Mike.
Well, you missed my part. Where's the?
Do tell, Brendan. What's your part? Tell me everything you can about.
Well, you've missed. It's already done. You have the wrong version.
Okay, tell us the story.
Well, it's better if you play the version that I'm on.
What? How would I? I'm good if I went to YouTube here because I want to get this story. This is important Toronto history.
Well, you gotta get the spoken, you gotta get the spoken word bit. That's the single version. That's not the album version.
Oh, okay, we're gonna get this right, everybody.
You gotta get the album version.
Stand by. I like Brendan, by the way. Okay, we're gonna get the album version of Len's "Steal My Sunshine." Let's see if this is it. Let's listen. Yeah. Does that sound right?
Might be. Oh yeah, that sounds like the album version. That's a much longer, spacey intro.
Hey Matt.
Yeah, Tim.
Hey, you talked to Mark lately?
I haven't really talked to him, but he looks pretty down.
He looks pretty down. Yeah, well, maybe we should cheer him up then.
What do you suppose we should do?
Well, does he like butter tarts?
I was lying on the grass of Sunday morning.
Brendan, tell me everything.
Well, I somehow ended up in Len. And I did a little spoken word bit heard in that part, and in another part in the middle of the song. We talk about Mark in the intro, and then we talk about Sharon in the middle part. So that'll be coming up after this next chorus.
Well, you're like a conductor. When you go up like this, I'm going to bring up the song in the background while we listen to you talk about how you ended up in Len.
Yeah. You know what? I don't know. Well, Mark, Greg Norrie, myself, and various other people had a little side project called Rockets Glare Red. And it was kind of an emo-y type of band. We had like a 4-song cassette we never released. and we recorded it some at Mark's and some at Ryerson, I think. Oh, here you go.
Come here. Wow, look at her.
I know.
Man, I've never seen Sharon look so bad before.
I did once before, but this is pretty bad.
Yeah, what do you think she got up to last night? Sharon, I love you.
Well, there you go. There's my involvement with
But
that
I think
song.
there's some minds being blown right now. I think people are fainting from the mind blow.
And years later, Mark would credit me because that's where I had my turntables when I was DJing in the early days. They would be at the Len House on Roxton Road. And then Mark credited me with finding that sample. But I think he kind of just did that to hitch his boat to the BSS train that was taking off.
Wouldn't blame him.
No, you can't blame him. He's a businessman, first and foremost.
Do you still go home and you see in your mailbox it's just crammed with like royalty checks from your spoken word contribution?
Yeah, you'd wish that happened. So we just won't talk about that.
Okay, well that's the real talk right here.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I got some money, but if I actually found the sample, then if it was me, I'd maybe shell out a little more money.
Oh, that's the song.
But it's also, it's the Andrea Truse connection. How do you like it? More.
Yeah.
That's the break in that song.
Right, but still, these samples make that song, and
Well, there is no song without that sample.
No, I just want you'd be fairly compensated.
Yeah, well,
especially now that you're an FOTM.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, and life goes on. I got some money, bought some pedals, and then Kevin and I started Broken Social Scene. So,
okay, if you had told me, like when I started Toronto Mike, I'd have back-to-back chats about the origin of "Steal My Sunshine" and Informer.
Can I make a couple comments about that song?
That's what you're here for,
the extended version one, very much subconsciously channeling like Weezer, the Sweater song with that spoken word.
Yeah.
Or dare I say, popular by Not a Surf.
Yeah, or I was gonna say also Brand Van 3000,
a
very 90s thing.
Yep.
It's also interesting to see how he, found the sample. Like more. I'm just looking was a #1 hit in Canada. And also, this is kind of a fun fact. Andrea True saying that was a former porn star.
See,
right?
we
Did you know
talked
that?
about it on Toast.
Okay,
You're not listening.
okay.
You're not listening.
I missed
to
that
Toast.
one. Okay. Anyway,
Well, because you were fired as co-host of Toast doesn't mean you can't listen.
That's not true.
Yeah, we talked about it. We talked about the origin of the sample, and we played more. Yeah, she was a porno actress.
It's a great song.
Yeah. That was fantastic. And then I don't know. I'm trying to let Tyler drive here because I never know what's coming next.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think just wrapping up on Brendan, like he seemed a little like not cranky, but like.
No, but the advance press was he was a cranky pants. So I was braced.
Yeah.
I found him delightful.
Yeah, no, he seemed great.
Was it? Did he have a protege with him, or there was like a show the next day? Like he seemed like he was there partially, just like a.
So Elliot Lefko, the second
Yeah.
Lefko we've mentioned this episode, he was sent over by Elliot Lefko. Like Elliot Lefko said, please go to this address and be on Toronto Mike.
Okay.
Because Elliot Lefko, we were going to mention the fact that he was playing the Garrison.
That's
as
what it was.
Tragically Hip covers. 2 artists were sent by Elliot Lefko, by the way. But
Yeah.
we were trying to promote this event where you got food for the Daily Bread Food Bank, and it was in honor of Bookie.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll
And I
mention,
was there.
I'll mention this is probably like the 5th time I mentioned this. He also DJ'd the opening party for the Twitter Can office.
Brendan Canning.
Yeah, the day after I found
Did he
out I
play
got
more?
hired. I don't recall. It was 2015. He was
Wow.
there. There's photos on TorontoLife.com.
I would have done 90 minutes on Head.
Totally.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. we got so much to
You're
talk
the
about.
host here.
We got
That's
so
my
much to talk
dead air.
about.
I can't be trimming out that dead air.
There's like so many episodes.
You got to be comfortable with silence, Mike.
All right. Let's spend a little time on this one.
Yeah. So 1685 Snow. What an episode. So much to say.
Where to start?
And Snow is now like
Where to begin?
An integral member of the TMU.
He's like a brother to me now.
Yeah, like we've seen him 3, 4, or 5 times.
Yeah. Like Mike, would
in
you
person.
say Snow, Darren O'Brien is your friend?
100%.
Like I know, not FOTM, literally like a friend.
Could you call him right
like were your friends? Is he your friend?
Yes, he's my.
Yes.
He's not an FOTM. He's an F.
Oh wow!
Okay, so
Wow!
He's an FOM. He's an FOM.
Wow!
Now, quickly the origin story here, very quickly, because Paul loves to tell this story.
Sure.
Paul Farberman was on Toronto Mike because a couple of guests name checked him and piqued my curiosity. One was Catherine McClenahan, who is the first woman VJ in Much Music history. And she talked about attending the Tears Are Not Enough recording. And I said, how did you get in there? Because you were on Much Music? And she goes, no, she was dating the entertainment lawyer who was working that day, Paul Farberman. So Catherine McClenahan is dating some guy named Paul Farberman, and she gets into the Tears Are Not Enough recording. You got me? Okay.
Yeah.
And she brought it up, from what I recall from her episode, in a way that like assumed that you know exactly who this is.
Maybe.
Am I wrong?
I can't remember, probably, but she dropped the name, and I took a mental note on this name, Farberman, like, to live precariously through Paul Farberman. That's what I'm thinking here. But then there was an episode with the Fusilli Jerry co-writer. Well, Marjorie Gross gets the credit, I suppose. But Marjorie Gross, shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. But Jonathan Gross, we all know this name.
Yeah. Yep.
He's like BFFs with this Paul Farberman who comes up in his conversations or whatever. So then there were two FOTMs were dropping this name, and I'm like, I need to know who the hell is this Paul Farberman. I got to talk to this guy. So I found him on Instagram, and I connected, and I said, here's what's going on. Get your ass down here. And he's like, I'm in California, but my mom, or I guess his mom at the time was living in Toronto area, and he had to come by and see her or whatever. So we arranged for Paul Farberman to make his Toronto Mike debut. And at some point near the end of our chat, Paul Farberman reveals he now manages Snow. He's working closely with Snow. And
Crazy.
I look him in the eye. Literally, I didn't have to wear glasses back then either. My baby blues, I sunk him on Farberman, and I said,
Farbsy?
Pretty much.
DJ Farbs.
And shout to Dude to the Clown. I said, can you get Snow in the basement? And he kind of hesitates for a minute. And I think he basically says, he thinks about it for a moment. He says, yes, I will bring Snow into the basement. And then he did. He delivered.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
He did.
Now, I had a chat with Mr. Farberman at the Left Field Brewery, the Toronto Maple Leaf press conference to introduce.
Because you were my +1.
I was your +1. Thank you for the invitation. I had some delightful hot dogs and had some great chats with some people, including Snow. But I had a great chat with Paul Farberman, and he said to me, the only reason I brought Snow to Mike's basement is because he's so good at what he does. I had a great time with him, and I thought I can trust him with Snow.
Sorry, Mike's good at what he does, or Snow's good?
Mike's
they're
both.
They're both good
at what they do.
Yeah.
But he specifically said because you're so good at what you do, he felt he.
Yeah,
could
he
trust
told
you.
me. So and again, we're going all over the place. But very recently, I found myself in Keith Stein's dining room eating Burger Shack burgers and fries.
Haven't we all?
Okay, and Paul Farberman was there with Snow and Snow White. Mrs. Snow was there as well. She's lovely, by the way, Tara. But basically, Paul told Monica in great detail the reason he brought Snow into the basement. And it was a very flattering story for yours truly. Apparently, like, he knew I'd be good with Snow and it would be good. Snow would enjoy it, and I'm good at what I do. And he said, yes, this is a place I would bring Snow. And he did.
It's a safe space.
Yeah. It's a safe space for Snow.
Totally.
Snow won't melt down here.
Nice.
It's very cold. Okay, so you're right. There's been a lot of snow this past quarter because I got introduced to Snow on episode 1685. The next day, Keith Stein, who I just mentioned, but he owns the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team. By the way, get your asses. I know you've been there, Tyler. I know you've been there, Cam, but get your asses to Christie Pitts and take in some Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. It's fantastic baseball. Grab yourself a Leafs lager. Get a hot dog, Tyler. A hot dog, okay?
Yeah.
Enjoy it. Shout out to FOTM Rob Butler, who's going to come up in a minute here. But as Keith Stein listened to Snow on Toronto Mike, and then we had a text exchange. Would Snow be interested in doing something with Toronto Maple Leafs baseball? And then I said, well, let me talk to Paul Farberman. So I had a chat with Paul Farberman, and Paul thought Snow would be into this and Snow would enjoy this. And then I brokered a meeting between Paul Farberman and Keith Stein. And the results of this meeting was that Snow was the official ambassador of Toronto Maple Leafs baseball, and the next day they were going to announce it at Left Field Brewery. Not as good as Great Lakes Brewery, but a fine brewery. And we were going to make the big announcement, and I had a +1 for this media event, and I invited the VP of Sales to cover it because I figured no one will believe me. No one will believe what's happening here. I need VP to witness this. And what a night that was.
Unreal.
I was just going to say, Keith Stein and Paul Farbman seem like they almost cut from the same cloth. Like just guys who have been involved in all sorts of stuff, lawyers, but also,
entrepreneurs.
Always looking for the next score.
And they get along well.
Yeah, fast friends.
Fast friends. And I made that happen.
Love it.
That Left Field event was such a surreal night. I spent a good half hour with Snow, and he was showing me pictures of things on his phone, showing me like the mobsters that used to come to his house.
What's that bike gang? The Vagabonds.
Yeah.
And we learned about the Vagabond who taught Ty Domi how to fight.
Yeah.
And related to his friends of his mother.
That's right. And his mom apparently introduced the bikers to the mob.
Okay.
Right. Honestly, you had to be there, Cam.
Yeah.
We can't even say any more on this topic.
I actually have video of Rod Black standing next to Snow as the Informer track is playing on the PA and Snow is live rapping to it. It was quite a moment.
You had to be there. No one would believe us if we didn't have a witness.
So let's talk about this episode because you really get the real Snow. And it's kind of amazing to me that it's only an hour long, like just barely over an hour, because there's so much packed into it. There's so much talk about Informer, about his sort of come up through the system, about his career after, and about his politics, which we'll talk about in a minute as well. And he's very authentic, and you get lots of real talk with
That's a punch.
with Snow.
That
is a punch. I was talking to Cam, chatting with him because people have been talking about this punch thing, and I couldn't remember hearing it on the episode, and I went back and re-listened, and it was when he was listening to the Jim Carrey thing.
Yep. You got to watch the video.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I have video of this.
I was going to say, like, Tyler and I were texting, and I was thinking it was during the Mike Myers thing, and then I grabbed up the clips, and he said he wanted to slap Mike Myers.
It's a slap for Mike Myers.
Yeah, he's going to slap him around. I said, was this the Mandela effect? We all thought it was about a punch, but it was actually a slap. And then Tyler texted me the next day. He's like, actually, I think it was like later that night.
Yeah,
it was like close to midnight.
Nice. You should have asked me because I isolated the Jim Carrey imposter.
Yeah.
I just took that song, but watching Snow react to me playing it and put it on the Toronto Mike's YouTube channel so you can just watch Snow listen to Jim Carrey and react.
So I was going to say, if you're keeping score at home, so he wants to punch Jim Carrey, slap Mike Myers, and beat up
he doesn't want to punch Jim Carrey. He just says that's a punch.
He gets
Jim
a punch.
Carrey's punching him.
Yeah.
And now he's going to punch Mark Weisblatt.
Okay, so I interpret it like I'm punching him because he's up, but you're saying it's like a jab.
Yeah. Like that's a shot at me by Jim because he says, he'll be working at Burger King. That's a punch. So Snow is basically telling you he's receiving these punches.
Okay.
from Jim
I had
Carrey.
the exact opposite interpretation.
No, he wants to punch Mike Myers, but he receives punches from Jim Carrey.
He wants to slap.
See, thank God we're talking about this.
Okay.
We're really
and he wants to punch Mark Weisblatt. Can you imagine if somebody wanted to take out Jim Carrey, Mike Myers, and Mark Weisblatt?
The world
That's the Holy Trinity.
World would be a less interesting place if that.
So I have a couple of clips from Snow.
I'm so ready.
Let's hear him talk about seeing the Informer video for the first time.
Okay, so there's the famous Toronto legend or whatever is that when this song breaks that you're in jail. Are you in jail when this song breaks or no?
Kind of, but not like
you're either in it or you're not.
Like what happened was I went and I remember I told you I went down and did it with MC Shan, saw him, did the record, went to Warner Brothers, Rockefeller, signed the contract, and I'm like, but guys, I gotta go home. I got trial on assault causing bodily harm next week.
Yeah,
and they're like, all right, whatever.
So
they were like, okay, we got to do the video. All right, so I was like, all right, I've never did a video before in my life, so I'm at Silver Cup Studios, you know that in New York City, right? And I'm there doing the video, and so left the video. Never seen the video edited because back then it usually could take months,
right,
to edit a video. And I never heard my album mixed. You know what I mean? Because back then you couldn't just put it on CD and I could take it home. No, it was we had the reels, the big reels, so we had to mix. It'd take a while to mix it. So I didn't hear the album mix and I didn't see the video. So now I go back to Toronto, and the judge is like, it's the same judge that DO'd me on my 2 attempt murders. right? Same judge.
Okay.
So now the Crown is asking for a year, right? So the Crown says, okay, we're asking for a year. So the judge says, all right. But then my lawyer says, Your Honor, you detained him for a year in custody and he was found not guilty. So the judge says, oh, you got a year credit then. I'm like, what? The Crown's asking for a year. Boom, boom, boom. I'm out today, right? He's like, but I was going to give you a hell of a... He's a prick, this guy, Humphreys. Oh, he's a bad judge.
Yeah.
And because what happened was he used to be a mob judge, right? So my lawyer was a mob lawyer, and he used to be... So then he became a judge. So now he don't like my lawyer because he thinks that he's dealing with all these whatever. I was going to give you a hell of a lot. Well, 1 year. So he gives me a year plus the year that the Crown's asking for. So he gives me a year. And I look back and see all my, man with everybody. I said, all right, see you later. I didn't even think the album was going to come out. Didn't really think anything. You know what I mean? So I went to jail. I'm in jail. So I got a year. So about like the 7th month, I'm in there. And they said, Snow or O'Brien, you got a message at the bubble. So I go to the bubble, right, where this, and I get it, and they're like, oh, call Jimmy. All right, so I said, oh, shit. He was inside with me, but now he's out. So I called Jimmy. I said, what's up, brother? What up, brother? He's, I saw you on TV. I'm like, nah, it's not out yet. He's like, yes, I saw your video on Much Music. It's you. I'm like, you sure it's you? He goes, yeah, it comes on again tonight. Because back then, Rap City come on in the morning time that we couldn't watch.
Right.
But it repeat in the nighttime. And we could watch at the nighttime on Friday and Saturday. We get to stay up late, watch a movie, and then we watched Rap City.
Sounds fun.
So I'm like, you sure it's me? He's like, it's you. I'm like, all right. I tell a couple people, I think my video's on. So when I go to lunch, I'm at lunch, and now the whole jail is in the cafeteria. Yo, Snow, are your video on? I'm like, holy fuck. I hope it's not Marky Mark or something. Vanilla Ice, I'm dead, right? So I'm there. I'm like, I don't know. So then after the movie, everybody goes to bed. All the bikers, everybody, they usually go to bed after the movie and stuff. And all of us, whoever liked hip hop, and we'd stay up later and just, mess around. This time, the whole place is packed. They want to see this Snow video. Yeah. So I'm like, oh, shit. And I'm in jail with a guy I grew up with from Allenbury at this time. This is a different jail. So I'm with Dwayne Gross. So me and him are pacing back, by the cells here. We're pacing back, and I hear, and I say, oh, shit. And I run, and it's like a circle, and all the seats are there, and the TV's up there. So I'm by the TV, and I'm in jail in the TV, and I'm in jail singing to everybody. All the bikers, everybody, oh, yeah, everybody dancing and stuff. So it was like, boom, right away. I was like, oh, that's the first time I saw myself on video.
And your prison mates, they said it was a good song. What was the reviews like?
They love what? Yeah, especially back then. You if you did a CD or an album, you had to do you know what I mean. It's not like I can go in the basement and do a CD. Everybody got CDs out. Everybody got that.
Right.
So they were like, what? They believe me because they know my family in jail. They know a lot of my family, so they know I'm not a bullshitter and running around bullshitting. But when they heard it, they liked it,
Oh, wow. What an episode.
That's just like one point.
And that's a part of our history, man. We got to document that fine history of this fantastic city.
I was going to say, dude, I know we have sort of the wiki corner. Do you want me just to weave these into, the updates? Because I feel like there's some, natural, points.
Yeah.
There was two I lifted from this episode. One, we already mentioned him being cousins with Stephen Page. I feel like don't hang around those O'Brien boys or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And the other, he just casually threw it. Rick James was his babysitter.
Oh yeah,
right.
Growing up, which did that actually happen? How he conveyed? I don't know, but
I was looking into that yesterday.
He was around. I mean, it was around Toronto, as we all know.
Yeah, I was looking into that because I know at one point Rick James, obviously he was a deserter, but then went back to the U.S. But what I remember hearing, and it might have been someone on the show saying that he couldn't come back to Canada.
Once he was out.
Once he was out.
Yeah.
I might be misremembering that.
Yeah.
But
wait, Tyler, are you calling Snow a liar?
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I'd never
Snow fact checked, because I think they said he was here to play music.
Yeah.
And Snow, I said he was here for in a more of a curation, professional capacity, which you have to listen to the episode to see exactly what that means.
Yeah.
But
anyway, I'm sure it happened.
Wild.
But those are two
wild
minds. I mean,
times.
we were confirming something that Brian Dunn had heard about Stephen Page and Snow.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of another relation we'll get to later with another fantastic. I realize this is going to be a long fucking episode. But
we have so much to cover.
In conclusion, if you haven't heard Snow on Toronto Mic'd, what the fuck are you doing with your life?
Yeah.
There's fun facts. There's Wikipedia updates.
And also, you'd
there's
never be
lexicon.
listening to FOTMcast. Like, you wouldn't even be listening to me right now.
Yeah. So the other clip that I have of Snow, we've already sort of touched on.
Just play the whole
a bit.
episode.
Yeah, basically, between that and Ashley.
I got
think,
an hour.
Yeah. You before the episode, Paul Farberman called you.
Yes.
To warn you.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I did get warned. So, and we might have talked about this before this. I can't remember if we talked about it before, but I got maybe you were here. Were you here? Somebody
No,
witnessed
somebody
that.
was
Somebody
here.
did. Must have been. I think it was Brendan Canning. I think I was about to record a Brendan Canning. I think. Or Kyrie Papoots or something, and then I got the call from Paul Farberman warning me that Snow is a Trumper. That was the warning.
Yeah.
As if I need a warning. Like, I mean, like, okay, well, sure. Well, I get it. No way. No Trumpers allowed.
I was gonna say
okay?
there's
I would lose some good
millions of
clients.
Trumpers around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Certainly not the first nor the last that you will speak to.
Good to know.
Dobigan, get out of here.
But the
Stu Stone.
yeah.
What do we say? He's fascinating.
He said he's
or-
remarkable.
Yeah.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
Remarkable times.
Stu Stone. Yeah, absolutely.
Should work in PR. That's Stu Stone.
He's remarkable.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
The politics stuff didn't really come up till the very, very end of the episode, and you kind of
Well, by design.
by design, yeah.
Slap.
Yeah. So let's hear the conversation you had about
Okay.
about that.
You mentioned Mike Myers because he went to your school. Is that right? Did Mike Myers go, or is he from your neighborhood? Or?
No, he right from my neighborhood.
Okay.
Yeah, not from Allenbury, not the project, but right across the street, in the building right there, right across from Woodbine and Vanier. I'm not sure if he went to Vanier. Rush went to Vanier.
Okay.
Alex Lyson and Getty Lee went there.
Right.
Howie Mandel. And
Oh, geez. Because Mike Myers did some ads with Mark Carney, right? He did some like elbows up, put Canada first.
yeah.
Again, not trying to get you in trouble, just curious
I would slap
how
him.
you felt
I
there.
probably would have slapped him. Slap Mike Myers.
He'll be back in the detention center.
I don't
As
care.
one
I'll
does.
take a beef.
Yeah.
That's
Slap
me.
him. Does.
You know? 'Cause he run over here, and I don't like that Carney guy. I don't care. I don't like him. You know? So, yeah, I don't know. I don't like what he came over. And then he run back to America. Elbows up and run back to America.
Saturday
When
Night
I
Live.
get him, I'm going to slap him in the... What? Now you're making me mad. I got to get off this topic.
Let's say the beast.
So we're almost done. By the way, I really appreciate this.
I just love Canada. I've been 6 generations here. We came over from Ireland over to Nova Scotia and then over to Toronto. So we've been, so I just see a lot of it going downhill and, so we got to fix it up. We're going to fix it up because it's a beautiful country. It's beautiful people. This is the most talented. Look at that. We got the top rapper, Drake. We got the top singer, Weeknd. We got Justin Bieber. We got some beautiful talent.
Snow.
We got Snow, but we got beautiful talent over here. And Celine. So we got
Shania.
We
can play this game. Neil
Frank,
got
by the
tickets
way.
for Neil Young.
Oh no, we don't like Neil Young.
How come?
Oh, not Neil
Slap him.
Young.
Bachman Turner Overdrive. We got
BTO. I
Guess Who?
love BTO.
Oh, wow.
We got Triumph.
What did you
The
say the
Lawson's
last one? Who I
book.
said no? Who was it? Triumph. I love
Neil Young.
Neil Young.
Rush, did you say Rush?
Yeah, but Rush. We've talked about
Neil
Rush all
Young,
day.
what
You're
happened?
paying attention, Paul.
I was up for Best Album of the Year, 1993, Juno Awards. He was up too for the Best Album. He beat me. So a lot
Is
of
that Harvest Moon?
but probably what album that it was.
So it's personal.
It's a punch.
Not to me, but to my friends like Jamie and them. Oh, I want to beat him. Oh, I don't like him at all. I love his music. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, you can't.
All right. Okay.
You know?
Okay, amazing. I know he's been very vocal with Bernie Sanders going to protest against Trump. What do you think of his staunch anti-Trump stance?
Who?
Neil Young.
He's Canadian?
He's Canadian, but he's been living in the States a long time.
He don't got
He
no.
left.
He got no say for nothing. He should just keep it with his guitar and talk about his guitar. That's all.
All right, you got a soft spot for Donald J. Trump? Again, no judgments here, man. No judgments here.
I like whoever's stopping the war and whoever's doing the peace.
Oh boy,
didn't age well.
If it's this, if it's that, if it's whoever it is,
Aged like milk.
You know what I mean? And I see it's running pretty good. So I just want to.
Everything's great.
We just need to fix here.
Peace and love.
See, I had my opening with Neil Young. I'm like, I knew I had to get the T word in there. I got to be delicate. How do I slide it in there? I'm like, oh.
I would say with that part about Mike Myers specifically, you did see a different Snow, like sort of just a glimpse of like a different Snow.
You don't want to piss him off, right?
No, I would tread lightly with the Snowman.
Yeah.
Well, Wiseblood knows now.
Nice dude though. Like,
yeah,
fun.
great guy. Like such a sweetheart.
All right, so that's the thing. So I don't typically hang around Trumpers. Okay, yeah, I'm not. It's not really aligned with my values. I'm not here to say. I mean, I find it a bit abhorrent to be a fan of this person and what he's about. But I'm talking about Trump there, not Snow. But I've spent a lot of time with Snow this past quarter. A lot of time, be it at Keith Stein's backyard or at when remember Snow threw out the first pitch for the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. I was there in the members' lounge with him. That's right. I call it a lounge. It sounds fancier. By the way, I threw a strike. I don't know if that comes up in today's FOTM strike, but I threw out a
It just did.
Great photos too.
Well, Morgan took some great video. Yeah. Well, the photos were by a professional photographer, but Craig Clicks on Blue Sky. Anyways, all this is to say that for whatever reason, who knows, you like what you like, but I fucking love hanging around and chatting with Snow. Like, he seems like such a sweetheart. And at TMLX 19, we sort of saw it in action. Like, he would happy to pose and take photos and chat up everyone who came to TM. I almost felt like I had hired him as like the entertainment for TMLX 19.
Well, I was gonna say, like, this is not to stroke your ego even like
Stroke me,
further,
brother.
but Paul Farman alluded that, you know, he trusts you, where like a lot of people who would see him as sort of just like a one-hit wonder in that one song that, you know, people like to sort of roll their eyes at, but he had like other hits too. Like, I know you play
Everybody Wants to Be Like
great
You.
song, and again, the fact that you can sort of have fun and, you know, kind of like go like toe to toe with him, but you're not here for yucks. You're not here to make fun of him at all.
No.
Like, this is like a human being.
Here's a jam Wiseblood put into the not so secret FOTM WhatsApp group yesterday. Girl, I've been hurt. Now I need another.
Also
lover.
a great song.
Remember this?
Yeah.
That's a good
fantastic.
song.
Yeah, really
love
good.
it.
Big hit in Norway or something like that.
Yeah, well, that was on Canadian radio. Like, I feel like we heard
okay.
that.
Well,
Yeah.
it was a big hit. But there's a bunch of Snow songs beyond Informer. Quick mind blow. I want to know what you think of this. So James Edgar has been to many TMLX events, and he was there on Thursday for TMLX 19. James Edgar,
That's
okay,
right.
big Rush fan. James Edgar has got a few years on me, so he was a full-fledged adult working for a living in 1993. He claims he's never heard that song before, Informer, and had no idea who Snow is. Is it possible for like a sentient adult who was around in 1993 in this country to have zero awareness of the song Informer and the artist Snow? Zero.
Like, I'm trying to think of like what our parents have heard.
Okay, so I asked my mom. My mom wasn't sure who Snow was, and then I played a bit of Informer, and she's like, "Oh, I know that song. Like, she's heard that song. She knew Informer."
So I feel like it's been in commercials. Like, it just, you know, in
It's
supermarket.
just
seven
in
weeks.
the
ether.
atmosphere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's the better song? I want your honest opinion. What's the better song? Steal My Sunshine or Informer?
I think Informer is probably a better song. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, that one went to number one. I
Yeah.
don't think Steal My Sunshine got to
I
number
mean,
one.
not to be too like pedantic about it, but like Steal My Sunshine, it really is like more. Like, that's a bulk of the song with like some
But a great
flourishes.
song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're both good songs.
Yeah. Informer tells a story.
Yeah.
You know, it's him. It's like
If you can understand
if you can
the
understand the
words.
lyrics. You know, once they put the subtitles in the video, that helped.
FOTM Hall of Famer Live Vumka still trying to decipher what Snow is saying in that song. But, okay.
Live the water.
So there you go. We are we doing lexicon
We're doing
later,
lexicon.
right? Is
Sorry.
that making
Sorry,
a lexicon?
not to bury the lead.
Which one?
Okay. I asked him, I said, you should see The Wire. And he said, I live The Wire.
Oh.
Which is a great line. Great line from Snow.
I didn't.
All
pull
right,
it,
so
but,
let's burn through, get to the
okay.
other one we got to spend
All right.
90 minutes
oh my
on,
God.
and then hopefully this is
what
under 4
what a
hours.
damn quarter.
Only
Okay.
40 more episodes.
Yeah.
And by the way, the next quarter is the quarter I slow my roll.
Yeah. Kayak
So
time.
it should be a shorter episode.
When are you
next time.
camping, by the way?
Oh, July 23rd.
Okay.
Fun.
Good.
You
Looking
wanna
forward to
come?
that.
I got room in my at the Pinery. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So rolling out of Snow, we move right into a Randy Drusen kick out the jams.
I love Randy.
Yeah, she was great. Menno Versteeg from Colorado.
Also part of that Elliot Lefko
Yeah,
request.
seemed like a really sweet guy.
Yeah, I enjoyed it very much.
Pete Crichton, who we talked a little bit about, has a great book.
I jokingly call that the gayest episode ever.
That was a sneaky good episode.
Yeah,
and he of course, talk about mind blows, wrote an article for the Toronto Star about Nash the Slush, to which my mom's like, oh yeah, I went to high school with him, was in the band with him, he wasn't that good.
Jeff, right? It's his real name.
Yeah,
right?
Jeff
Pluman.
And even to bring it further, so Pete Crichton writes this article and quotes Rob Pruce from Spoons.
Yeah.
So Rob Pruce is in the Toronto Star talking about Nash the Slash, which we've been all over because Colin Brunton kind of talked about it. Somebody pledged $10,000 after hearing Colin Brunton on Toronto Mike.
Like
that
rescued
happened.
The documentary.
Well, I'm taking full credit. If it's a hit,
totally.
it's all me. And if it's shit, go bother somebody else. Oh, and then Rob gave me this Nash the Slash. Okay, please continue.
Yes. All right. Jeremy Hopkin came back for his quarterly.
Old City Hall.
Old City Hall. Enjoyed that very much.
Loved it. Brought it up with Josh Matlow.
Yeah. Bill Henderson of Chilliwack.
Watch your back, Bill, because you zoomed that sucker. But I enjoy. I'm just saying, watch out, Bill. But I thoroughly enjoyed my chat with Bill Henderson from Chilliwack.
Can I? I'll add a Wikipedia update from that episode. One of our favorite. It's incredible. We're an hour in, haven't mentioned Tears Are Not Enough. Actually, yes, we have.
We
with
did.
Paul
Paul
Farber.
Farber was there with Catherine McLean.
Strike that in post. But we did learn, Mike, as you continue to populate. The Tane Wikipedia with the stuff you're digging up. Bill Henderson suggests he was offered, but when he wasn't given a guitar solo, he declined.
Yeah.
I feel like that's accurate.
That's accurate. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
that's
you're
on
right.
that's on Wikipedia. Again, someday they're going to do like the Greatest Night in Pop Canada documentary, and I am very
Will I
curious.
be a talking head on that one?
Well, honestly, they're going to be grabbing stuff from that
yeah.
Wikipedia in their research, and like half of it is stuff that you've dug up. So congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Someone had to do it.
Yeah, exactly. The Mike Richards Mickumentary.
Oh my God.
Okay, major credit to the great Tyler Campbell, VP of Sales,
Thank you.
FOTM Hall of Famer.
Sponsored
You
by
did
CIBC.
A lot of that heavy lifting.
That's right. Labor of love. Have you heard from Mike Richards? Has he listened?
No, but he did write me to say he was sorry he couldn't make TMLX 19.
Well, that doesn't help us at all.
No. I actually do need to get him on the horn and find out what he thought of his Mickumentary. I do know he listened, and a lot of people who love him told me it was a great job. Dale Cadeau, for example, who might be the biggest Mike Richards fan I know.
Yeah.
Dale Cadeau said he loved it.
Wonderful.
And Jake the Snake from The Hammer, he loved it. Oh, another guy who said he was 100% going to be at TMLX 19, I realized I didn't see him there, is Mike Grigotsky.
Yeah.
Grigotsky, what the fuck?
I really wanted Grigotsky to be there because my dad went to high school with his dad.
Okay, you know what? But he was 100% locked in. I got to follow up and find out, did he die? I got to find out. Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home because Brad was there.
All right.
I loved it.
Very good. Nick Ionis returned.
Oh yeah, so this episode, some people loved this episode and some people didn't love it. I thought it was a good go. If it wasn't even recorded for Toronto Mike, that's one thing that made it a bit different.
And this was him coaching you, right?
He was coaching me on how I could generate more revenue from TMDS.
And have you put any of those tips into?
Yeah,
into
the TMLX 20 is going to be $80 to attend.
Seriously, like I don't know why these aren't ticketed. You're not wrong.
Yeah, good for Nick.
Yeah, Nick, I like Nick very much. He's another guy who was locked and loaded for TMLX 19 and couldn't make it. His wife's cat died.
Oh,
not his cat, only his wife.
That's how he referred to it. He needed to be there for her, and Nick's a good guy. I told him he made the right choice.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do.
It's tough losing a pet.
It is. It is.
Some mind blows in this one. I'm taking over now because in a minute, when I get you going on a topic, I'm going to run and go pee.
Okay.
So, Rob Butler.
Yeah, Robbie B.
Any words?
I mean, he's always fantastic. He was a Zoom, of course, but he has been here, so he's safe. But
he talked about Sato. Sito, who I did subsequently meet, and Snow.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah.
What a humble guy.
Yeah, he seemed
Rob
just
Butler.
like such a sweetheart.
The mind blow, I believe the mind blow, and I don't know if it was on the public record anytime before. I didn't know of it or see it anywhere in the on the internet. But the fact that he talked about the previous owner of Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team, Jack D'Amico. Okay,
Right.
Is that how you say his last name? D'Amico? Domenico.
Domenico.
Domenico. Okay,
right.
so Jack had a rule. He didn't want to have any players batting over 500. He found it embarrassing. And Rob said that he was taking hits away from him to keep him under 500, and that Rob Butler had a stretch. He said he went 12 for 13 for a stretch, and his average went down.
This is like the inverse of was it like I don't think he did this, but like sitting on the final day of the season.
Oh, Robbie
to, like,
Alomar did that.
Yeah.
Alomar did that
This
with
is
a
the complete
299.5 or
opposite.
whatever, and then he sat. Yeah,
Bizarro version.
Ted
of
Williams famously had a doubleheader to end his 400th
right.
season and did not sit.
He go 3 for 4. Or
He
something.
raised his average.
Yeah,
He ended
up
up
to
at 406.
Splendid splinter. Yeah. Cryogenically frozen.
Like Han Solo.
Yeah, he'll be on Frozen someday. We'll get him down here.
But
Splendid
that mind blow about the fact that Jack was taking hits
Yeah, that's
away, that doesn't say a lot for the integrity of the IBL, but they fixed that now. They've cleaned it up.
It's kind of fucked up.
Good. All right, Cleela Arrington, who I believe is a friend of or colleague of.
The fun story I shared with Blair is that Blair sold me on Cleela during his episode, and then I said, okay, I'll talk to Cleela, like he sold me on her. And then he went and chatted with Cleela and said, hey, would you go on Toronto Mic'd or whatever? And Cleela said she was too busy to go on Toronto Mic'd. So I got a no, but then like a minute later, I got an email from Cleela's PR person asking if I would chat with Cleela. And I said, yeah, she's got to come to the basement, and 100% locked and loaded, she was there. So it's interesting how this world works, and I know Cam has experience in this world, but this is it's kind of fucked up, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to.
Like I'm too busy. Like so, what? You're too busy to do this. But when it comes to the PR person, you're there, and she was great.
Yeah.
I think she's been going to Toronto Maple Leafs games at Christie Pitts.
I was gonna say, I'm just looking. I have thoughts, but why don't we move on?
All right, we'll move on.
From a PR perspective, but whatever.
All right.
You can't say these thoughts now?
What do I know? What do I know?
You know real talk from you right now? Because if you wanted to start, I would run and go to the washroom.
No,
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay. I feel like Jay Ferguson when he was holding his bird for the last 10 minutes.
Oh, did you have to pee really bad?
Yeah. And at the very end, he goes, I've been holding my bird for 10 minutes. And then I never used that expression, but then I started using it with Jarvis after that. And it became something I would say like, Jarvis, because he was young, Jarvis, I'd be, oh, you're holding your bird. You got to go pee. He's like, yeah, because kids hold the bird when they
East Coast thing. Yeah. Do a little dance.
Well, then your bird should enter the lexicon. I'm holding my bird right now.
All right, we're crawling towards the end of Q2 here. Dr. Cliff Redford returned for Kick Out the Jams episode.
Love that guy.
Supriya Dwivedi.
Okay, let's
She's
not.
great.
That was a great episode.
Supriya Dwivedi, because Paikin says you don't say the W.
Right.
So I've been screwing that up the whole time, and she didn't correct me. Supriya Dwivedi was fantastic, and a lot of real talk in there, and I really, really enjoyed my episode. And that only happened because I bumped into her on my way to see Change of Heart at the Geary Sound Garage.
Right. Bedini was there.
Bedini was there, and Bruce Arthur was there.
Yeah. Bruce Arthur.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
What a life you lead. What a fucking weird life.
What a life. What a life.
That was a great show, by the way. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I enjoyed it too.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun. Supriya
Barclay was in attendance.
Oh yeah, he was grooving.
I saw him again at the Garrison at the
UFO.
Barkley likes to dance.
Barkley is a good dancer.
Yeah.
All the mics were there.
Got all the mics.
Anything else to say about Supriya?
Nothing specific except of course she lost her husband tragically so young. And she quit 640. Like talking to her about why she left 640
that was
fascinating.
A harrowing kind of story.
They were threatening to like rape her kid and kill her and stuff, and she didn't want to work in that environment anymore. But she didn't name. I know who because it's an FOTM she's referring to, but that the subject matter of the show the late night show the night before would be these conspiracy theory type things that would bleed into her morning show, which was more fact-based and news-based, but the listenership believed a lot of this stuff that was dangerous, and she suffered the repercussions of that.
Yeah.
So she basically blamed the subject matter of the late-night shows on that station.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think where she works now. Like, is she like a...
Well, she worked for Trudeau.
Yeah.
So after 640, she worked for the Prime Minister for a while, and then when he was no longer the Prime Minister, I think she's sort of like a free agent right now.
Yeah.
Doing speaking stuff.
Yeah, she worked for Enterprise, like the agency for a bit.
Yeah. But she's very bright and fun to talk to, and she will absolutely be back.
Yeah,
good.
I like her.
I might get her and Stafford on at the same time.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. All right, moving on. Ron Hawkins and Lawrence Nichols from Lowest of the Low, of course.
Love him.
The great Adam Bunch. I love Adam Bunch's voice, by the way. He's got like sort of
a great voice, and he knows his shit.
Yeah, yeah. Another toast with Bob and Rob. Joey Serlin from The Watchmen
completes the collection.
Another band completed. Yeah. Well done.
I'm gonna. Well, I don't know. I'm gotta work on Blue Rodeo because I got to get Basil. I'm gonna do Colin Cripps in a couple of weeks, and I got to get Basil Donovan down here.
Nice. Ann Lindsay, speaking of Blue Rodeo.
Yeah. Fiddler.
Yeah, fiddler.
Not the only fiddler this quarter.
Now you know the difference between a fiddler and a violin.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah. Donna Ramsey Anderson, who appeared with Banjo Dunk.
Yeah, and her husband was there, and Banjo Dunk was there, and it was I really enjoyed talking to her and Anne Murray battling to see who gets to release Snowbird first.
Okay, maybe a senior moment. Was there like a controversy with Banjo Dunk like during the pandemic? Or something?
I think you're referring to the Scott Thompson.
Oh, yes. So tell the Scott Thompson story. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Mike's going to pee.
Yeah. I'm trying to. Oh, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
now I remember.
Yeah,
It's in the
'cause-
comment section.
Yeah, because Scott Thompson appeared, of course, last
Sure.
quarter.
Famously.
Very good episode. And Dunk was upset because he felt like Scott Thompson's views, like
Right.
Scott Thompson was touring in the U.S. And,
Yeah.
and why would you have someone on who's so willing to travel to the U.S. and work in the U.S.
And Dunk like knew his brother or something,
or
knew something about him.
Played hockey with somebody.
Yeah.
And said that Scott was, maybe, I don't know. There was something there.
You should have chimed in like, well, my dad and
that's right.
Be a one-upper.
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah,
not a huge con.
I don't think it was a huge controversy.
That's what the
and I
comment
think
section's for.
yeah, I think Mike and Dunk worked that out.
Yeah,
thankfully.
clearly.
But yeah, it's we're gonna get these things in these elbows up times.
Sure.
So many people are very anti traveling to the U.S., working in the U.S., and people gotta make a living.
Maybe see what's this new social plot? Gander.
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
some of these
Oh, my
all
God.
take place
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Gander.
Yeah, and there's another one too. It's like a something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I see the Gander guy's been on the PR circuit for
Yeah.
Made in Canada social media.
Yeah, very good.
Good luck.
Hi, Mike. Welcome back.
Is that the Arlene Dickinson thing?
Yes.
Yes, with all the Canadian tech leaders.
Yeah.
I think Taylor Owens. I want to see Wisebot to go in the comments section.
If I
Let's see
stay,
your
on
thoughts.
Blue Sky, am I anti-Canadian?
I think Banjo Dunk will be very upset if you stay on Blue Sky.
Sure.
I'm sort of digging Blue Sky. Okay, so thank you for vamping.
Oh
and
yeah,
telling that great story.
it was great.
Okay, so where are we at now?
Steve Bacon. Steve Bacon.
Oh my God, yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, he just had his last episode last week
on Friday.
Yeah, his dad was his final guest.
Yeah, I almost did. So a couple of Father's Days ago, I almost did a Father's Day special with those two people, Larry and Steve.
Yeah, so good for Steve. Great run on the agenda and at TVO, and I know he's still there doing special projects. Hopefully not the Frankish kind of special projects.
Beyond Polly podcast. for
Documentaries.
Yeah. All right, Graham Stairs, great.
That came out of the Mark Nathan. So he heard Mark Nathan, and he felt like he needed to kind of fill in some cracks.
I was going to say
on those stories.
that is textbook grout.
Yeah,
there.
There's a lot of grout on Graham Stairs. Yeah.
Scotty Mac.
Especially of Marin Cadell. He
Yes.
felt he needed more credit on the Marin Cadell story of the
Yeah.
sweater.
Yeah, and is Marin coming on the show?
I haven't heard from Marin in a while. I wrote him after Mark Nathan just to offer my condolences, and he said he was processing that because it really hit him hard, Mark Nathan's death. But I do need to follow up and get him in the basement.
Yeah, hopefully that'll happen soon.
Just 1236 in the comment. Blue Sky is part of this, in air quotes, Gander. If you post on one, it'll go on the other. If this even happens, because I think it's like decentralized, like social media.
Right.
So we'll keep an eye on Gander.
Ask Wiseblood if the 1236 newsletter is coming back now that he's no longer with the CJN.
Yeah. That's what we want.
Scooping up all my Jewish
we wanna
clients.
All right, moving on. We're into the 1700s. Scotty Mac. A Zoom episode with Scotty Mac was fun.
I enjoyed it, and he's in the basement next week.
Good. Very
Seems
good.
like he's in a good place.
Yeah. Seems very
enjoyed hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good.
Excellent. Keegan Matheson.
One of my favorite Keegan episodes.
Yeah, Keegan's great. I really enjoy him.
Yeah.
I need to read his book.
Well, you can borrow my copy.
I'd
if you
love
want.
to.
Yeah,
I'd love to.
I got some books for you. What I liked about it the most is we didn't talk about the 2025. The 2025 Blue Jays were not on the agenda. So I revealed this to him, and I've mentioned it to Wilner too. But I've tapped out of this season, even though the three of us were there for
That's right.
the second home game of the season. Or
Yeah,
something?
the only game up until last week that Max Scherzer had.
Right, but we only watched the security got mad at me for sitting on the windows ledge
right.
or whatever of
Yeah.
the hotel or whatever. But I haven't consumed any Blue Jays baseball. Haven't watched any of it. Haven't listened to any. I'm not following it at all. Like I'll see things on Blue Sky and I'll get an idea. Oh, we're doing all right or whatever. But I haven't missed it. This is going to be maybe a new chapter in my life where I'm like playoff only. Like I'm not missing it at all, and I feel like I have more time to spend time with people I love and care about, and more bike rides and walks and stuff. Like I think I've been a slave to regular season sports.
Can I make one comment about that episode? I really like Keegan as well, and think he's a great writer too. One thing about that episode I noticed, and I'm sure we can all relate, and this is just because we're not getting any younger, but it's just always interesting hearing someone like that who's, his mid-30s talk about specifically the part about Dave Stieb and almost sort of the psychology of like Dave Stieb and what it was like. Because there's a few things he said is like, I'm not sure I'd like fully agree
because
with
he wasn't there.
Yeah, just because, I don't know, like we all grew up watching a lot of Dave Stieb and interviews and whatnot. It's just interesting to hear people who didn't see it in real time. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It's just...
No, these are good points. It's going to tie into next Monday's episode, which is about Dave Stieb getting into Cooperstown. But I think we talked, I think Keegan, he has no memory of Joe Carter touching him all.
Right.
Like he has no memory of that. So he's like, I don't know, he's born in the early 90s or something like that. But it is interesting the difference between having Larry Milson and Dave Perkins and Robert,
Bob Elliott.
Bob Elliott and Robert Elliott.
Right,
Bob Elliott. Having these guys over who like lived and breathed it in real time, it's a whole different, this is the value of like age. That's why I always found it weird when, there's Donovan Bennett talking about Harold Ballard owning the Maple Leafs or whatever. It's like, I get what you're doing here.
Yeah,
but
you weren't there.
Like, you weren't there. It's kind of weird.
Yeah,
And it is weird to hear Keegan talk about Dave Stieb.
It's also because like, especially like athletes are so cordoned off now versus like Bob Elliott and Dave Perkins. Like we're on the plane and Hankey's cracking a beer and I'm right beside him.
They're
Like
in the bar with him after the
Elliott
game.
would be able to sit and chat with Edwin Encarnacion, so you don't even have to go back that far.
Yeah, think getting anywhere close. It was like we're just kind of joking about like PR people, but again, Mike, one of the wonderful things about you, like this is one of the few places you get sort of the raw, unfiltered talk with like actual like talented people with like interesting stories. It's one of the few places remaining where you hear this stuff.
Well, God bless you.
There you go. I'm really laying it on thick.
That's
today.
why you're here.
No, it's fun.
Your brother, I think, had said that these episodes are just about us filleting you. So
He says, I must enjoy every quarter when you two come over and fillet me.
yeah, well,
Well, who wouldn't enjoy that?
yeah, we're gonna
Feels good, man.
we're gonna do something a little different later.
Hold that bird.
On that, yeah.
I don't need to hold it anymore.
All right, rocketing through, remembering Juliet Powell, which we already did. Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home.
worst.
Yeah. The debut episode of Rewinder.
And that is the episode that is the supposed to be the opposite of this.
Yes.
So I believe we're down to 3 listeners: Mark Weisblot, maybe Jeremy Hopkins,
J-Ho's still there,
and Live Fumka. Okay, we're down to that.
Yeah.
And that's the way I like it. If you can, I'm gonna say a magic word. Email it to mike@torontomike.com to tell me you got this far. The word is cinnamon. I want to know who got this far. But Rewinder, that's for the great unwashed, man. That's for the masses. And he's got a great theme song that was inspired by the aforementioned snow.
I think that one's gonna be sneaky good too for just like unearthing other like fun facts from because Blair's had such an interesting career and knows so many people. Like he dropped like 3 or 4 things not related to like news, but just like
he's connected to everybody.
Yeah, like 21 years ago I did this.
What a great debut.
Yeah.
And
I dug it.
Really quickly, here's its theme.
Rewind with the pack of movies, also known as Blair, and Mikey Boom Boom too. Rewind looking back and yippee hopping on the air for the quarterly review. Rewind skiddly boddly doodly. Rewind bibbity bobbity noodly. Rewind with the pack of movies, also known as Blair, and Mikey Boom Boom too.
That's good.
Yeah, that's not AI. That's Blair singing.
Yeah, it's all Blair.
Very clever.
Love it.
Yeah, Blair. I chatted with him at Christy Pitt's pre-Rewinder, and he was talking about that song, and he was a little worried about the skiddly bobbly part being like maybe cultural appropriation.
Oh yeah, so he's worried he's
interesting.
appropriating from the white guy doing patois.
Yeah. So I said, would Weird Al do it? You know, and I think he would.
Well, it's a bit of like
There's nothing offensive about
sort
it.
of like scatting too,
Yeah.
like a little
Yeah.
Cab Calloway.
Yeah, we declare it to be harmless and delightful, Blair.
Great title too, Rewinder.
Yeah, I like that
like
very
you
much. It all
know
came
you
together.
know exactly what it is. Rewinder.
Yeah, we're doing that every quarter. Everybody.
That's a
So we'll
punch.
see him in September.
All right, we're so close to the end here, guys. Al Grego.
What if you lose Cam and I?
Well, then
That's the objective, and that's the goal.
just me in your basement reading off episode names. The great Al Grego was back for his Moneris.
And I really appreciate
Yeah.
Moneris and El Grego, and I can't wait to have them back, hopefully in 3 months' time.
Looking forward to it. And shout out to Al for his 50th birthday, who played in Kensington Market the night of the Watchmen show. I know you.
And you were pretty hammered at that show.
I was,
as
yeah.
I recall. So Tyler was pretty hammered. But,
Yeah.
so I
Is that
saw
true?
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw
Wow.
him there. He had a bud. What's
Yeah.
your bud's name?
Neil Fowler.
Neil,
Great
okay.
guy.
Was
Yeah.
Neil hammered?
Not as hammered as I was.
I could tell Tyler was gone. So I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, he's not coming to Kensington Market. But Langer was not hammered. He did show up. So I biked and Langer drove and we went to Kensington Market. So I was there a good hour before Langer got there. But it was great to see Al at his 50th birthday celebration in Kensington Market.
Yeah. Happy birthday. Al.
What bar was it at?
I forget.
Okay.
What cool spot with cool
Yeah.
people. Okay.
Gotcha.
That's all
Yeah.
you need to know.
Gotcha.
All right. Tom Harrington, exit interview.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Very
God
serious
bless Tom
news
Harrington.
journalism.
Yeah. Good dude.
Journalist.
Big name.
Sky Wallace returned.
Love her.
Yeah.
Of course.
Samantha Martin's debut.
Yeah, she's a very talented singer, and I enjoyed that chat too.
Enjoyed that as well. Then we had the Stephen Leckie episode. Kire Papoots returned with Liz Worth.
Did you know they're married?
I know that. Yes. I learned that in the
Fun
secret
fact.
FOTM group.
Liz Worth made her finally, and Cam, you worked with Liz.
I don't know if I'd say worked. Her and I both wrote for the Spill newspaper. I think I've suggested this. The publisher. Do you guys know what the Spill is?
I'm not sure I did.
It's like a long-standing.
Is DJ Dream Doctor part of this crew?
Yeah, exactly. So myself, Liz Worth, DJ Dream Doctor, someone else named Jenny Yoon. I don't know if you know this. She used to write for the Toronto Sun and now works for, I want to say Unifor or something.
Not to be confused with the actress.
Yeah,
from
but
King's Convenience.
long-standing, Wiseblot definitely is familiar with Spill. Long-standing like music news website and formerly like a print newspaper, but going since like the 90s. You should have the publisher Arvin. It's just, I think it's just Arvin, just a random guy who lives in Mississauga, loves music. Been doing this for like 30 years.
He's like a benefactor.
Yeah, just like a one person show. You should like honestly talk to him. It's like, why do you keep the Spill going? Because it's been a real part of the fabric of
Okay, I
Toronto
do that.
music. Yeah.
Now I really enjoyed having a warts and all chat about Stephen Leckie because just the stories that were coming at me. He sounds like an interesting person.
I was wondering, like, what did Stephen Leckie do for the last 40 odd years post?
I think he worked. He was Stephen Leckie. Like
Yeah.
that was his job. Be Stephen Leckie.
Yeah.
But Blair, speaking of Rewinder, Blair knew Stephen Leckie from school. So, and Blair took a couple of runs at getting Stephen Leckie on Toronto Mic'd. I might have shared the fact that another FOTM told me he was batshit crazy and don't do it. But it never did happen. But we had a good chat there.
Seemed like a complicated fellow.
Yeah.
That'll be my final Wikipedia update. I actually got the official like death on Wikipedia for Stephen Leckie because it took. I don't know if you guys remember. It took a couple days. Mike, you were sort of first to jump, and then once Alan Cross put it on his blog, I said, okay, I'm going to cite that one.
You know, we all have different like standards, right?
Yeah.
So this Canadian press, for example, they need to corroborate somebody's death in a different way than I do. I knew he was dead. I've never written about a person who wasn't actually dead.
Yeah.
But we have different standards, believe it or
Well,
not.
I think the Globe and Mail just wrote about this past weekend too. So I mean,
Is Brad Wheeler going to give it the proper treatment?
Probably was Brad Wheeler. I have to see
Okay,
who
well,
read that one.
who else is left to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's
Yeah.
Brad and I.
All right. The Joe Carter Classic episode. Some great first timers there. Dave Stewart was
the best.
Yeah, that was a great chat with him.
He was the best.
Yeah. Ernie Witt.
I can't believe I got to talk to Ernie Witt.
Yeah, that was cool. Kenny Lofton, who was eating bacon.
Oh my God! Talk
Yeah.
about guys who should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah, he was cool. Aaron Hicks, who
You should, but why? Why do you think? Because of the stolen bases?
Yeah,
he was a great leadoff hitter.
Yeah, he
for
was
long
a
time.
good fielder, and I think like yeah.
Yeah, but shouldn't
had a bit of
Carlos
power.
Delgado get in before Kenny Lofton?
They
Or
can
am
go
I,
together.
both be in.
They can go in together.
Harold Baines is in. You know, come on.
Harold Baines is in. Come on.
Well, Dave Steve should be in before both.
I'm gonna look like Lofton, like top 10 leadoff hitter ever.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
agree.
Go on record.
And Joe Carter believes strongly he should be in. I know he's got a bit of bias there.
Joe Carter? No.
Yeah, I don't think Joe should be in.
I think I said before we had him on Hall of Very Good.
Yeah, he was a great hitter, but
like, should Paul Konerko be in? Like, come on.
A couple of people on the mic. I wasn't sure who I was talking to.
Yeah, Aaron
right?
Hicks was one.
Okay, so
it was
'cause
Aaron Hicks
I wasn't.
there.
Yeah, so Aaron Hicks, I didn't know who was on my mic because Rod Black put him on the mic, and next thing you know, I'm talking to, and I wasn't sure who it was.
Yeah.
But before that, when there was a gap, so Rick Vibe was there early, and he was on the Fan 590 because the way this works is Fan 590 are doing it live to air, and then I'm like a little bit down the clubhouse hallway there. I have a setup, and so we're the only two broadcasters at this thing. So Rick was doing the Fan 590, and then I had a big gap before anyone else showed up, and I saw this guy walking around who he just looked like he belonged. Like, who is this guy? So I put him on the mic and found out who he was in real time. Elan Trotman. This is a
smooth jazz
saxophonist, but a big deal in that world, which I'm not in.
Yeah.
Small aside, and I know we're already like running along, but why was Aaron Hicks there? He just seems a different generation than all these players because he probably just retired.
Yeah, like 2 years ago, maybe. Yeah.
Well, he's there for a good cause. Okay, he's there for a good cause,
and he was available.
Okay, but I don't know. Anyway,
why not? Right?
Sure.
So, and now he's an FOTM.
That's right. Unknowable.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, back to the Kenny Lofton bacon thing. It was really funny because he was eating a lot of bacon in the brunch room when I asked. I reckon I go, Kenny Lofton, I want to talk to Kenny Lofton. Would you come on my mic for a couple minutes? And he gave me this look when he's chewing on all his bacon. He goes, and he was making it like, I'm eating my bacon. I'm like, it'll be just 2 minutes, Kenny. For some reason, I felt like second time at the Joe Carter Classic, I could be more aggressive
Flex
with
your
these
muscles.
celebrities. Yeah,
Sure.
I just felt a bit like, you put down the fucking bacon. We're going to chat on Toronto Mike here, big guy. And I loved my chat, but throughout it all, he was giving me the business.
Yeah, he was funny.
He was funny,
Yeah.
and I took him from his bacon.
I was gonna say some similarity scores. By the way, is like Tim Raines is number 2 in the Hall of Fame. Ichiro Suzuki's in there.
Yeah,
a guy we never talked about, Brett Butler.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he had a good career.
Yeah, Dodger.
Probably not a Hall of Famer.
Not a Hall of Famer, but a good player.
Anyway,
Very good player.
Yeah, I think John Ulrich should be in the Hall of Fame
What
before.
about Chris Sabo?
before
Is
Joe
he in the Hall of
Carter.
Fame?
No, not in the Hall of Fame.
Don't know.
All right.
But Dave Stewart was the best, and I really
He was
did
amazing.
enjoy finally getting Ernie Witt on. I could tell my brother's We Want Witt story. And I had like 2 milliseconds with the great Cito Gaston. He's now
Yeah,
in FOTM.
that's right. And you got Joe in at the end.
Yeah,
as well.
Joe was brought to me at the very end, and I had to tack him on.
Yeah, nice.
Oh, and thank you to Tim Herron for driving me to and from and being my, he kind of I kind of thought he was a wrangler, but he didn't wrangle anybody.
Didn't want to wrangle.
So I think he just was happy to be the driver this
Sure.
time. So I
Some
did all my
people-
own
yeah,
wrangling.
some people are not born to wrangle.
Right. I need that Pina Crispo.
That's right.
She was a good wrangler at the party for Marty. I got to
right.
get her back, by the way. I feel like I need some
Do it.
Pina Crispo. All right.
Sure.
So take it away because we're at the big one.
All right.
So
Ashley
you got 90
McIsaac.
minutes. We're going to start at
Yeah,
90 minutes.
here we go. Ashley
And then-
McIsaac.
Okay, so after we do this, maybe I'm going to go slower next quarter. I apologize to everybody for being so prolific with the excellence and the mind blows and everything like that. My humble apologies. Hopefully the rest of the show isn't too long.
Yeah, we'll breeze through the rest. Don't
Okay,
worry.
take it away as we enter the 2 hour.
Oh my God. So Ashley McIsaac, I mean, so much to be said about this episode. And really, Snow and Ashley McIsaac, I think, are the two sort of
pillars.
Are
of
they
this
tent
quarter.
poles?
Tent
What are
poles,
they?
pillars, cornerstones, whatever you want to call
Signature.
them. Yeah.
Pillars
and
of the
really like
TMU?
two people cut from the same cloth. You know, they've been in the business for forever. Obviously came up through different ways and different experiences, but like outsized characters who have really experienced the entertainment industry and see it for what it is.
I actually feel like the Snow conversation was basic training for the Ashley McIsaac
Yeah,
conversation. I felt like now you're starting to just echoes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And he's just so like I played that one clip off the top, which really kind of blew me away when he said it. Was you're talking about what's real and what's not real, and he said nothing's real. Like this interview is a performance. Like everything is just fake. This is me. This is my job. I'm gonna go inside and I'm gonna pet the dog and I'm just gonna be a normal dude after this. But like this is who I am. Right. I put this out there.
Not wrong. Everything is pro wrestling.
Yeah.
This is pro. Like what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like what the fuck are we doing here?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah.
seriously. Like look. Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about bullshit about some made up fucking TMU nonsense, like, and nothing matters.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, nothing and
This
everything.
isn't real.
Yeah.
Yeah, but once I get in that, like, because when he said that, and then it was all like a performance, and it was like, well, what was real? What was work? What was a shoot or whatever?
Yeah.
But then you get to the whole like, what's the point of anything?
I was gonna say, one day you'll be on your deathbed and you'll realize 98% of this shit didn't matter.
Like, I now feel like, okay, well, these fucking drones, right? Like these insects. What was it in that metamorphosis? What were they? Were they slugs? I can't remember anymore. What insect?
What the fuck? So is it like Kafka? Like, what are we talking?
Yeah, Kafka.
Yeah.
And wasn't it called the Metamorphosis?
Yeah.
What kind of bug were they? Like
Gregor turning into the.
Yeah, but what
it was like a beetle or something.
beetle, whatever.
Yeah.
Fuck, right.
Yeah.
So like, all I'm doing is like. It's basically like, okay, you got to get through these fucking
Toronto Mike
days.
book club.
You got to get through these weeks, these fucking years. Put into your ears something to fucking entertain you, something
Totally.
interesting. Here's content. So it's not like, oh, shoot fucking heroin in your veins. No, put this real talk from the TMU, stick it in your head, and you'll fucking, it's like the fucking Matrix. Like, you take the red pill, okay?
Well, again, this is Toronto Mike. This is Jeremy Hopkin. This is Adam Butt. This is Cam Gordon. Track changes. Like, we're trying to leave something behind.
What's track changes? And then we'll spend our 90 minutes on Ashley McIsaac.
We'll talk,
later?
talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I don't want to
back
take up more
to
time. No,
Ashley
back to Ashley McIsaac. Oh, my God.
Yeah. So, I mean, so many great stories in this. I'll just play this clip because this is the thing I love about this clip is it's such a perfect encapsulation of the Toronto Mike experience, because it started with you talking. I don't even remember why, about Rick Vive telling you a story about,
because he said he did something on ice.
Right. Okay.
And then I thought about TC Puck.
Yeah. His
balls getting glued in the ice. And I don't forget the key. Earlier that day, I had Rick Vive on Toronto Mike. So Rick's top of mind, and I remembered his story about the balls on the ice, and he talked about being on the ice. So I brought up Rick Vive.
Yeah, and Rick Vive leads to Harold Ballard.
Because it was his dog.
Yeah, leads to
balls
Harold Ballard
were on the Maple Leaf Gardens ice. You know this, TC Puck.
Totally. Yeah.
And that leads to Harold Ballard Jr.
Yeah,
who was a friend of Ashley McIsaac.
When he kept saying senior or junior, and I'm like, senior, of course. And then
yeah. So anyway, let's listen to Ashley.
Basically, there's a story. Harold Ballard had a dog who would be in these photos on the ice at Maple Leaf Gardens. And there's this story Rick tells me about the dog's basically scrotum being glued to the ice.
Harold Ballard. You mean Harold Ballard Sr.?
Yeah, senior. Yeah.
It sounds about right. He was a cat, that one. I mean, we all know what happened in the end with Harold Ballard Sr. There was some charges and stuff. He was a bit of a crazy guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
But Harold Ballard Jr.
Yeah.
Man, I could tell you stories about that man that would make you shrink. He was real crazy. I took him to Cape Breton once. He wanted to go see the first person out of Cape Breton that really was a star was John Allen Cameron. Now, John Allen Cameron, of course, in the 60s, late 60s, he left Nova Scotia playing guitar, playing fiddle tunes on the guitar, and became a big star of the Mariposa sets, and ended up having his own TV show in the 70s and that sort of thing. And he liked to hang out at the Hot Stove Club, and so he was very well known amongst the hockey crew. And so he knew Harold, and Harold came down to Cape Breton and put him in touch with me. Ashley will show you around, right? So I take him down. It was a John McDermott tour, the first time that John McDermott was ever performing live. Harold had hired him because John was working in the newsroom for him, and Harold asked him to play a Christmas concert. And as the story goes, Harold offered John after that night $25,000 to go in and record the songs. And so John was out doing a tour. Harold was there with him. I went out and I played fiddle. And they said, let's go take a trip around Cape Breton. I said, okay. So we went to Fortress of Louisbourg, which is the famous, old French fort where basically Canada was settled. The Quebecers think it was settled there first. They forget they had to get somewhere before they got there. So there they were in Fortress of Louisbourg, but it was closed. It was after hours. It was late at night. And I can never get this image out of my head of little short Harold Ballard with his, grubby, big, fat mitts and Man, he lived life large, and he climbed the walls of the Fortress of Louisbourg and scaled the fortress. He got stuck up at the top where the spikes are, and he's falling over the other side. He actually broke into the Fortress of Louisbourg. It's like, you're coming to Cape Breton. What do you want to do? I want to break into the Fortress of Louisbourg. That's who Harold Ballard was. He was a real crazy dude. He did some crazy things, man, out on the road, that guy. I had him out lots of different times. He took me out to meet, I met Madonna one night with him. I'd already met Madonna when I was younger in New York, when I was dating RuPaul. I got so many crazy stories that like.
Wait. Back the truck. What is it? Back the truck up. Like, you dated RuPaul?
Before RuPaul was famous, I was in New York, and one night we're at this bar, and Sandra Bernhardt and Madonna and everybody was there. And George, as I called him, George says, "Hey, Ashley, you look what I just finished, and get me this cassette tape, which turned out to be Supermodel, which hadn't been released yet." And he goes, "This is my new music. You'll love this." So the next morning after we left, I was out all night with him somewhere. I don't know, in a bathroom, something. We were doing something, and he.
What are you doing in there?
We walked away, and he said, "Don't forget this." He gives me the tape, and when I came back to Cape Breton, I remember going, "Okay, how the hell am I ever going to get back to New York?" And I kept listening to this tape, and that was the inspiration for Sleepy Maggie, was Supermodel. I listened to it over and over and over and thought, okay, if I play fiddle tunes on top of a beat, maybe people will like it. It just so turned out that I ended up putting together a bit of a rock band. But yeah, I had some early days in New York before anybody ever heard of me in Canada, where I was a club kid. And there's that movie that came out with Macaulay Culkin called Party Monster. Have you ever seen that one?
No.
Where, it's about X-Ray when he was running the Limelight Club in New York, where the kid got killed. Well, I was hanging out in the club with them all that time. I was there when the guy got killed, and I was a club kid in those days. So there's a whole side of me that people really don't know that's not Canadian rock music.
But Ash, if this is before you're famous here, you're a teenager in New York at that time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
I was 16, 17.
Oh, I feel dizzy. I feel weak in the knees. It's too much real talk in too short a
I was
span.
gonna say, talk about like everything is pro wrestling. I'm saying there's probably like threads of like actual historical fact in there with perhaps some like sort of accounts of what happened.
Do you believe? And again, I mean, we'd have to. I don't know how we even corroborate this because he denied anyway. But do you believe that Ashley McIsaac met RuPaul in New York when Ashley was a teenager, and that Ashley received Supermodel, which would go on to inspire Sleepy Maggie? Like, do you believe that part is true?
I'd say in a roundabout way, yeah, probably. I don't know, because he did I think he talked about the stuff he did with like Chris Shepherd before his album came out. So like there was sort of the fiddle mashup, and it was interesting. He talked about, and I totally remember like
Much East.
Yeah, the cover of the Grid Swamp Thing too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
which I totally forgot about.
What I loved about the chat was I did just, and I just threw it out there that Rick Vive and the balls, because he said he was in this ice rink thing. Somebody sent in a question about seeing this and can't find it. Anyway, the TC Pucks scrotum on Maple Leaf Gardens ice, and that got into the story about the Harold Ballard Jr., which led to Madonna, which led to RuPaul, which led to Supermodel, which is how Sleepy Maggie came to be. I feel dizzy.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad I'm sitting down.
And I have to imagine he's talking about Harold Ballard Jr. climbing the.
Yeah, no, it's yeah. Well, geez, FOTM Jeff Merrick is throwing the dirt on our pal Hal in 1990.
Yeah,
so.
Harold Jr. I believe lives up like Wasaga Beach area. I think he's like an artist or something, or a patron of the.
Yeah, like I saw like here on AureliaMatters.com. Yeah, he's talking about like Dylan Thomas and stuff as inspiration.
Need to get Harold Ballard Jr. on the show.
Yeah, he could come down.
So the Ashley, I got to give some shout out to Jane Harbury, great FOTM, because this was over a year in the making. Ashley McIsaac on Toronto.
I was gonna say this is a rare episode where you didn't announce in advance that he was coming, because I think you weren't convinced it was ever going to happen.
We had a bunch of false starts. We were supposed
Sure.
to do an in-person a year ago. In fact, some of the questions, and one of the mind blows, Gilles LeBlanc seeded a question about, he loves the White Stripes, Gilles LeBlanc.
Yeah.
And he had a question about the relationship between Jack White from White Stripes and Ashley McIsaac. And it was revealed their dads are brothers, making them first cousins, not even like twice removed or anything. And that's a kind of a mind blow too. His name is Gillis, right? Jack White.
Yeah.
And that question, he didn't remember asking the question because that question I collected over a year ago. So I'd been working forever on the Ashley. I knew I wanted him on. I had been fed so many stories over the last 5 years that, Ashley McIsaac is working at a Tim Hortons in Oshawa. Like, I'm getting these kind of stories. And there's so much stuff out there like, underage boyfriends, and he's racist, and all these, he's doing this rant, and he's on crack cocaine, and all these things. Like, I need to talk to Ashley. And Jane Harbury was trying to get the in-person because Ashley would play the Hughes Room. And blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I finally said, okay, I'll try a Zoom with Ashley because it's getting impossible to get him in the basement. He lives in Cape Breton or whatever. And I didn't promote this was happening because I did not believe Ashley McIsaac was going to be on the Zoom, and I did not believe we'd have a recorded conversation.
Yeah, so such a unique career too, because like his star burned really bright for like where he was on Edgefest, he was on Another Roadside Attraction, and he was like an alt rock figure.
Yeah, yes,
and then totally just faded from the mainstream. I think it was that thing on New Year's Eve, or there was something with the controversy in the McLean's article and all that stuff.
Yeah, and we got into it all, and after talking to Ashley, I realized like, you really do need to kind of dig in and get the real story sometimes, because these headlines, like, it's easy to write a headline like, he's got underage boyfriends and he's racist and he's talking gibberish and he's on crack cocaine, and it's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But geez, I loved my chat with Ashley McIsaac.
It was wild. Yeah. He had his story about his connection to Rob Ford.
Yeah.
His boyfriend, I guess, had shot the first video of Rob Ford looking
got
for
murdered.
drugs.
Not in the Netflix special.
Yeah, not in the Netflix special. And then he was murdered in Germany or something.
The next guest was in the Netflix special, but we'll spend a minute here.
And then he closes with this insane story, and listening to it back, we'll hear it in a second. No part of it makes sense, but I was on a bike ride listening to it. I had to stop the bike to message you about this. So let's hear this story.
You've mentioned that a few times. I let it go, but I don't understand. Like, you live, like, this is is it an active convent or what? Is this like?
No, it's not anymore. It was owned. I bought it from Louis Del Vecchio, who was, if you remember him from Louis Del Grande.
Oh, Seeing Things.
Seeing Things?
Of course.
When I was 16, I only had one other day of work in my life. I was driving. It's this guy. I got picked up hitchhiking, and the guy. Then the next year, I picked him up hitchhiking. And he said, hey, we can't do our job anymore. Our car is broke down. Do you want to do this job for us this week? So I took this job. I went for one day as the SOCAN rep. I went to a store. I walked in. They said, we're not paying for music. That's crazy. I said, okay, I'm not doing this. And on the way back from that job, I saw a guy standing up in the field. And I said, okay, I was smoking hash. And I look and I go, okay, I'm seeing things. This can't be real. I'm driving to Cape Breton, and here's the guy from Seeing Things standing in a field. Turned out it was the day he was buying this house. Skip ahead to last year. I'm driving by to go for this girl who we have a police escort. We're going to go meet. Who's just come back from Toronto to Cape Breton. We've got a double lung transplant. They didn't work. She almost died. They gave her another one. They take her home. They played her Ashley McIsaac fiddle tunes while she was in the hospital. And they said, Ashley, will you come here? So I drove down to there. On the way back, there was a for sale sign. I said, gee, I wonder if that's that same house. Drove up the road, and sure enough, that's where they lived. And he had moved there. I saw him that day, 35 years ago, purchasing this house. So it was an old convent that he had purchased. It was built in 1891 for a politician who was a member of parliament for Sir John A. Macdonald, and then ended up owned by, I think, First Nations for a bit, then became a convent. Then Louis Del Grande owned it. And I said, okay, this was meant for me to be there. So I got all the crazy things I've collected over the years, haunted items and stuff like that. And when I moved in, here's the real crazy story. I get a phone call from the singer. She said, hey, somebody from Toronto just came down, and they brought a doll to Toronto with them 30 years ago that they had picked up from somebody. And they wanted to know if anybody would want it in Cape Breton. And she just took it down, and it's at my house. And I hear you got a new house. Do you want a housewarming present? I said, sure. Why not? She brought over the shoebox. I opened it up. It's a paper doll of the guy who picked me up hitchhiking that day.
I feel. Come on, there's so much. It's so dense, right? There's so much.
None of that makes sense.
But okay, to me it makes sense.
Well, I
but
mean,
there's a lot of things. But
yeah.
the Louis let's start with.
Oh my
you
God.
got to parse it out, right?
Yeah.
The Louis Del Grande, seeing him buy the convent, and then 35 years later, it's for sale, and he buys it from Louis Del Grande from seeing things. Like there's that.
Yeah.
Which he first spotted just standing in a field.
Yeah. The moment he was buying that.
And remember, we talked about
It's
he's
like
only ever been
that's the main guy from Seeing Things. Like
the main guy with the glasses.
Yeah, sure.
Louis, yes, you see things. Jesus. And like we talked about how his only job has ever been to be a fiddler. He's only had a music, but except for one day.
Yeah,
right?
he worked
And
as a
that's the
SoCan
day.
rep.
He's a SoCan rep. He went in some place to make them pay for.
We're not
playing
paying for music. Fine.
And then he quit.
I quit.
He's done. But the doll story, because the hitchhike thing. And they came back with the doll story.
With the double lung transplant.
Well,
and
that's different. That's just like he's giving a little. I actually like it when guests do that.
Yeah.
Like, you're going there, but some people would be like,
it's a
it
make-a-wish.
doesn't matter why I was going there. It's like, no, I want to fucking know why you're going there.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, well, I'm going to meet a woman who listened to my music when she was recovering from her double lung transplant.
Yeah.
So there are multiple like stems or whatever, and you got to pull at each stem. What is it? Bruce was talking about. You got AI or whatever taking stems from
That's right.
songs
Yeah.
or whatever. Like you got to pull the stems from that story, and there's multiple at play. And I don't know which ones. Like, remember that story only came to be because a couple of times he mentioned he lives in a convent.
Right.
But that's similar to when he was going to tell a story and say, oh, when I dated RuPaul, and he was going to go on and talk about whatever, fire in the kitchen or something like that. And you got to kind of like, you got to react to what your guest says. Like, I'm not giving interviewers tips here, but if he drops the dating RuPaul, you got to stop down, back up the fucking truck and say, what do you mean you dated RuPaul? Get that story. And if he mentions the fact he lives in a convent, the first time, fine. And you go, but when he does it the second time, you're like, stop. What do you mean you live in a convent? Because you might get that Louis Del Grande doll of the hitchhiker story that, fuck. What, you know what? That's the best Zoom. That's the best remote episode of Toronto Mic'd ever.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm amazed this RuPaul thing didn't get picked up by or the mainstream media. Do you want me to send this to like Exclaim? Like I don't know why that's not its own news cycle.
You
Like,
better
really?
work.
Yeah. Crazy. Crazy.
And that's why in the chat I misread it. I thought Tyler was asking what's our new theme.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to mix it up. And I had visions of Supermodel to tie into this story.
Yeah, well, we'll do that
You
next
better
quarter.
work. And that was a huge hit, Supermodel. And that's the first time us average Joes and Janes learned there was a RuPaul.
I searched like Ashley McIsaac RuPaul, and like the fifth hit is like your LinkedIn profile. So like very professional.
Jeez, goodness gracious. Yeah, make it happen.
Shout out to
Okay,
Elvis.
so-
What
LinkedIn.
What an episode.
What an episode.
Yeah.
So what was
Revelation.
better, the Snow episode or the Ashley McIsaac
So,
episode?
I mean, I think Snow has become a more enduring character in the TMU, and I think for that reason it kind of stands out. But Ashley, I love the Ashley McIsaac
Well, pound
episode
for
so much.
pound, Ashley might be better.
Yeah.
But Ashley, he was in Cape Breton
Yeah.
with his dog.
Yeah.
And Snow was in the basement, and then Snow was at Left Field Brewery, and then Snow was throwing out the first pitch
Yeah.
where Mark Weisblot showed up and had like a private TMLX with Snow and I. And then Snow was at TMLX 19 with 100 FOTMs. So Snow wins on that alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Ashley McIsaac's dog named after Gord Downey, apparently.
Right, because I said Lightfoot, and that's because growing up as a wee lad near Jane and Dundas, our neighbor had a dog named Lightfoot, named after Gordon Lightfoot. So when I hear a dog named, but that dog was named Lightfoot.
Perfect.
This dog was named Gord, but my brain went right there, and I said it must be Gordon
I was
Lightfoot.
gonna say like sort of all these like fucked up crazy stories. What the hell you and then like his dog is the most like elbows up like boomer. Oh, it's Gord. He's named after Gord Downey. It's just
Unreal.
like a simple guy just living in.
Also,
living
again,
in
so
East
we
Coast.
speak from a Toronto perspective, right? So in my Toronto perspective universe that I really am trying to be true to, Informer and Sleepy Maggie are on the same page, okay? As great songs.
Yeah.
But of course, in the global, in the world, Sleepy Maggie doesn't make a ripple, and Informer is known by people
Except
in
like
Germany.
in the Spanish community in Los Angeles. Didn't he say they thought it was like Latino
Oh, that's
music
right.
or
Yeah,
something?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but
that was funny.
So
Yeah, that was
Sleepy
funny.
Maggie, which is a cameo jam, Mary Jane Lamond.
Sure.
But Sleepy Maggie, Informer, and Steal My Sunshine. These are like the songs.
Yeah.
And of course, 1 week, which was Stephen Page trying to make, according to Snow, trying to make Informer. and gets to number one himself.
You know what
with
Sleepy
Bare Naked
Maggie
Ladies.
sort of we were talking about sort of Weezer and that other song, but Sleepy Maggie and Enigma.
Oh,
like
yeah.
sort of like these
Yeah.
traditional music with
And we know
dance beats,
it's
like
noir.
very 90s.
Yeah.
Delirium, like all that shit.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely. And then you got with the Kitchen song
Yeah.
by
I was gonna say like
Suzanne Vega. What was that Kitchen song?
Tom's Diner.
Tom's Diner.
Yeah.
It's not
I was gonna
even a
say,
fucking kitchen song.
Like weirdly, Dead Can Dance, one of the most influential bands like of the 90s, because I feel like they sort of invented like that sort of neoclassical.
Hook
Anyway.
it to my veins.
Whew. Hard to top that. Josh Matlow was next.
Josh seemed really excited.
He was
to be
great.
chatting with
I
me.
enjoyed that episode a lot, actually.
At the beginning, he wanted to interview me.
Yeah.
He had questions.
Yeah. No, he seems like a good dude.
And he's in that
you know?
Rob Ford piece of crap
He
that's
is.
on Netflix.
Yeah, that
don't
was-
waste your time.
Yeah, you
They don't even talk about rinse.
That's right. Yeah, you don't really learn
And
anything.
this one was a long time coming. Like I feel like he was like, I'm gonna come on someday. Am I wrong? I might be thinking of someone
I don't
else.
think it basically at some point I did get an email from like a staffer, like a Josh Matlow staffer saying, would I have Josh over?
Okay.
And then I said, well, if Josh wants to come over, I would have him over because that's my rule for active politicians. If you want to come over, of course I'll talk to Josh Matlow. And I did enjoy the chat with Josh and he'll be back. He told me many times afterwards how much he enjoyed it.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that episode. Professor Elwood Pricklethorn talking about Toronto Tree.
Yeah, Toronto Tree finally making their Toronto Mike debut.
Amazing.
And that's the other character. So he's got a persona.
Yeah.
And fuck that. I was excited to do that episode, learn about my tree.
Did Splash and Boots, did they dress up?
No.
No, they weren't.
They were in their regular attire.
Not their
You're remembering
regalia.
something else I'll remind you about later.
All right. Matt Bobkin and Adam Feibel.
Do you know these people, Cam?
I'm certainly aware of them as I sort of work on track changes. People like this who have like published books. So like I was sort of loosely aware of their names from like Exclaim, but
okay.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
In
also,
Too Deep. This is an era that I kind of not ignore, but I don't spend a lot of time on it because it's kind of post where I focus.
Yeah.
It's for the youngins.
it wasn't for us.
But it was interesting to dive in and talk about that Avril Lavigne explosion with Sum 41. Of course, Derek Whibley in the room when Steal My Sunshine with Brendan Canning is kind of birthed.
Yeah.
He's in the room with Greg Norrie, of course. And it was interesting to kind of get into all that. And who else? Alexis on Fire.
Yeah. Fifi Dobson.
The great Silverstein.
Simple Plan.
Yeah. So can't forget Silverstein.
Right. Oh, and FOTM band, Mariana's Trench.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It is interesting because like those bands to those guys are like I Mother Earth and Our Lady
Right,
Peace
yeah.
and Watchmen are to us. It just
Gob is like their Rusty. Okay, it's like our Rusty.
Yeah.
Sorry, they're Gob.
I was. They mentioned this in the episode, but I was exposed to a lot of that music by playing NHL hockey on like PlayStation or whatever. Because like that Gob song, the Sum 41 song, they were on the the soundtrack.
Did that also have like No One Knows by Queens of Stone Age?
I think maybe a later one did.
Okay, because that's I do remember that quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, Simple Plan is fucking terrible. Like
I play that song. I'm just a
awful.
kid, and it was
Yeah.
cringy. It was cringy.
Oh, super cringe.
And Strombo apparently a big booster for that particular band. Oh, the other great Billy Talent. We talked about that.
Oh yeah.
Which is my favorite of all.
I like
bands.
that band.
Yeah.
I
There's
like that band.
that song was so good.
Okay, so that's when
all right.
Canadian punks took over the world.
Yes.
Okay.
We're almost there. Michael Boguski came by, had a great chat with him, filling in for Colin Cripps, who we'll hear in Q3. Talked about how you reminded him of Andy from high school, and he eventually remembered.
Oh, you should have seen him light up though when you remembered Andy. And then I don't know. I guess I won't say this. Are we allowed to talk about? But Andy did reveal something at TMLX 19 regarding her and Boguski. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, all right.
I will say no more.
Okay. And then there's only 2 more episodes in the quarter. One of them was Toast, the last Toast, right before TMLX.
Yes.
And then this one that's happening right now and has been for
This is like Spaceballs.
Very meta.
Where they get to the point in the movie that they're making right now. Remember this? And there's a new Spaceballs coming.
Yeah, there is. Rick Moranis is going to be in it.
Which is unbelievable. And what's his face is 99 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know we're
Exhausted.
gonna really burn here, but I do want to thank just a couple more partners if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Nick Aines. We talked about his coaching of me, which Banjo Dunk said it was one of the greatest episodes that Toronto Mike did ever. So he hated the Scott Thompson. and he loved the Nick Iones episode, and we love Banjo Dunk on this program. But thank you, Nick, for your support. Building Toronto Skyline and Building Success. These are 2 podcasts you should subscribe to. Do it. RecycleMyElectronics.ca is where you go if you have old electronics, old devices, old cables, and then you find out where to drop it off to be properly recycled. My guests always love that tip, and they always follow through. Thank you, RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Okay, where the hell are we? I don't even know. So, are we doing a Forgotten CanCon?
Forgotten CanCon.
Yeah?
Oh my God, yes. Okay, we'll do this quick.
Oh my God, that segment was so fucking long. I don't know about...
It'll be shorter next time.
Yeah. We'll do a postmortem on this.
Okay.
I feel these should be 2 hours.
Well, it might be tough.
Amanda Biles.
How long has this been?
I don't want to tell you.
We're coming up
You'll
on
get
2.5.
mad. You'll get mad.
Crazy.
Good news, everyone. We're down to Mark Weisblatt. Nobody else listening.
Okay.
That's mission accomplished.
Yeah, no, J-Ho's still there.
Okay, we'll burn
there.
through this.
Well, he sent him into me.
So to set this up a bit, Toronto Mike, I feel like you said you don't know this song. Am I wrong?
What, that song I just played?
No, this one that's coming up.
Wait a minute. I don't have anything. You never sent me anything.
Yeah, I did.
When? Hold on, give me a second. My apologies. This is
this was like a week and a half ago. I texted you something.
Honestly, I'm embarrassed. Is there any way you could get it to me again? I don't have
check.
this.
Here, I'm
so embarrassed.
DM you.
I don't have anything. Not even like I'm pretty good at this.
Here, check your Blue Sky DMs. I'm
not even logged into fucking Blue Sky on this device. Hold on. This is Tyler. Say something intelligent.
I mean,
give play-by-play here. Okay, I'm logging into Blue Sky, my favorite of the social media. I used to like this thing called Twitter. My friend Cam Gordon used to work there.
Back in the day.
Not anymore. Okay. Chat. Okay. I'm on Blue Sky.
Here.
But I'm on Blue Sky. Oh.
Remember that?
Vaguely. Okay. But okay.
Okay.
All right, but don't say anything.
But I think you said, or maybe you just said we've never heard this song.
I didn't connect. I'm going to play it, but I didn't connect that this was.
Okay, I mainly guess, Tyler. Let us know if you know this song before I start talking about it.
Maybe okay. Let's see here.
Let's see. Let's hear some pre-roll.
I told you I recognize this, right?
Dangerous times, and all God's children
sounds like Melissa Etheridge.
learn how to fight, shedding their young blood, shedding their
Kind of the same era.
Shedding sounds like shitting. Shitting there.
Sounds like the sort of late 80s, early 90s bluesy woman, kind of like
totally.
Let's give them something to talk about.
Yeah, Bonnie Raitt.
So I'm thinking like Mae Moore or who's that other woman? She's a blues singer.
Sean Colvin.
Sue Foley.
Sean Colvin.
Sue Foley. But how about Sue Medley?
Sue Medley. Oh,
this is Sue Medley.
This is Sue Medley.
Okay, Dangerous Times.
I was in the. Okay, I've definitely heard this before.
Okay.
Forgotten CanCon indeed.
Now, is it Dangerous Time or is it Dangerous Times?
Times.
Okay.
Lovers in a Dangerous Times.
I was going to say, Lovers in a Dangerous Times. That's the obvious reference. But yeah, Sue Medley, Dangerous Times.
Yeah.
Trying to remember, would this have been on CFDR?
I feel like this would have been on 97.7 Hits FM.
Yeah, or like it was probably before
Really?
Mix,
Yeah.
99.9.
It's not rocking enough for the White House.
No,
of
they
rock.
played a lot of like kind of bluesy.
They were playing. Somebody bring me some water.
Yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
you see I'm burning alive?
So Sue Medley, an artist born and bred in Courtenay, BC. The Esri, I know Grogoski didn't show up last time, but a tiny Esri geography corner. Other people from Courtenay include Byron Defoe.
Oh yeah,
the goaltender.
Yeah.
Sarah Neufeld. Do you know this? She's in the
Any relation to Nash the Slash?
She's in the Arcade Fire.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Although I think she plays violin too, so kind of. And apparently Kim Cattrall lived there for part time.
Okay.
Who dated Pierre Trudeau?
According to Wikipedia, this song was #1 on Much Music for 2 weeks. I find that really hard to believe. I don't buy that.
What year again?
But who knows? It's like 1989 or so. Like when Tyler said, this sounds like that late 80s, it's like, yes, that's exactly what this is. Like even think the first Blue Rodeo album.
Or like, the Sass Jordan kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So the band backing Sue keep on calling Sue Foley. Sue Medley was the Goners, which is John Hyatt's band.
Okay.
Do you guys have any relationship with John Hyatt?
You ready for
he's
this?
a total blind
John
spot for
Hyatt wrote Angel Eyes for Jeff Healey.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So he's got the songwriting credit on the biggest hit of Jeff Healey's career.
There you go. And this song in Angel
Which was
Eyes
a top, I believe, I know Mark
back.
Weisblatt likes to correct me on these things, but I believe that's a top 10 Billboard hit, Angel Eyes. Like not #1, but a top 10, I believe.
Yeah.
And Moose Grumpy says Cinnamon, she's still with us, everybody.
Peaked at #5 on the Hot 100.
See, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a John Hyatt.
Sorry, Angel Eyes did or
Angel Eyes did.
Angel Eyes, not this one. Not this piece of shit here. Come on.
Okay.
It's a forgettable song. It's a nice for that genre, but I don't find this a song.
The song?
Yeah, I wouldn't gravitate.
Yeah, no, there's a reason it's
I'm more of a
forgotten.
Bill
It's
Medley
fine.
guy than a Sue Medley guy.
It's totally fine. Now, she does perform to this day in the Comox Valley in BC.
Okay.
But one more fun fact about her, and this is actually pretty interesting. She performed. Now, I'm going to try to follow. Okay, so she performed a duet and sang backing vocals with John Mellencamp at the Bob Dylan 30th anniversary concert in 1992.
That's the one with Chris Christopherson giving the big hug.
The big hug to Sinead O'Connor.
Sinead O'Connor.
Mere days after her ripping up the picture of the Pope.
And apparently later it was revealed Chris and Sinead were having sex.
Well, that's
right? They were lovers.
consenting
I don't know how you
adults.
say that. Okay, consenting adults, but
And then,
anyway,
it does change that.
But yeah,
story.
Sue Medley performed at that concert with John Cougar Mellencamp.
Wow. So Sinead went off stage, and then they said, "And now Sue Medley."
Sue Medley did not do Dangerous Times, but that's a big deal. Bob Dylan 30th anniversary concert.
That is a big
historical
deal.
concert.
Okay, this was a great forgotten KenCon because I think Sue Medley is kind of forgotten.
Well, I was going to say other people. I was say other people who performed at that concert. You got Neil Young, Lou Reed, Eric Clapton, Tom Petty, George Harrison, Stevie Wonder, the band, Johnny Cash and June Carter Cash, and Eddie fucking Vedder.
Her agent.
See,
God
but
bless.
everybody needs a bathroom break. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sue Medley, and everybody runs to the watch.
Her profile received her profile received a boost after 4 of her songs were featured on the TV series Dawson's Creek.
See, that's earlier I compared her
later.
to Sean Colvin.
Yeah. Paula Cole.
Paula.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait.
Yeah.
That was the theme song for. But Sean Colvin had "Sonny Came Home."
Yeah.
There was a moment, like a Lilith Fair type. There was a moment.
And also, Sean Colvin was accepting her Grammy for Best Songs when ODB rushed the stage. The famous Wu-Tang is for the children interrupted
Me and
Sean Colvin.
Mariah, we go together like a baby and pacifier. Are you guys ready
R.I.P.
for Lexicon Corner?
Are we ever?
Oh my God.
Holy shit.
So that's Marvin Gaye?
No, that is the Funky 16 Corners band.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
Lexicon Corner.
All right.
All right. So we talked a little bit about this episode, I think about 3 hours ago. Andrew Scott from Sloan.
Oh my God.
Talking about whether you asked him whether he was going to go to the U.S. in this current administration, and he had a great answer. We'll listen.
Has Sloan reconsidered playing, some of these border towns like Buffalo?
Sloan is one thing. I'm not going to the United States for the foreseeable future.
Well, you're 25% of Sloan.
Yeah, but I can't hold anyone else back from doing whatever one needs to do. But I'm personally not going to the States for minimum 4 years.
You're not alone, man. You're not alone.
No, I know. And it's not out of it's not to punish the American public, who I know a lot of them, and they're very intelligent, caring, wonderful people. But yeah, it's like, control your dogs, America. I'm not coming to your house until you get your dogs under control.
Control your dogs.
Control your dogs.
Why?
Ron Hawkins used it with me too.
Wise dude.
Yeah.
And that was revealed in the Lowest of Low return, is that they were going to do something with Sloan in Buffalo, and it's been canceled because America needs to control their dogs.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I'm glad you added that. That's a good one. I've been using it a lot.
Not wrong.
All right.
All right. One more from Snow. This one sort of took on a bit of a life of its own, and the actual term is not what it should be, frankly. I think we've been talking about it as banned from the Bay. But let's hear Sloan.
I wouldn't steal from people.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would never steal from people.
Man's got to have a code.
Yeah, there's codes. There's no breaking into people's houses and stealing purses and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I'll go to the Bay and I'll go to the mall and all day long and take everything, you know?
The Bay, shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. We can buy the Bay.
Yeah,
we can buy the Bay.
The Bay's done now.
It's done now,
I think
man.
I'm kicked out of every Bay in the world. I was kicked out of every Bay in the world. Oh, yeah.
The Hudson Bay, they got a big picture of snow in the lobby. Don't let this guy in.
Yeah, I'm kicked out of every Bay. Trust me, I used to go in that store with wigs on. They didn't know who I was. I had long hair, wigs. I did everything.
Kicked out of every Bay.
Yeah, I feel like this can be like played again, Sam. Like we can change it.
Banned from the Bay is stronger. I think.
Is that the Mandela effect? Like where you're misremembering something slightly wrong?
No.
Kicked out of
Mandela is
everybody.
more a bigger change than that.
Yeah.
Like, well, you remember it was spelled a different way or whatever.
Right.
Like Berenstain Bears, I guess, is a big one. But
all right, these
who are these idiots who thought Mandela was dead? Like this, really? Like you're not paying attention. Now he's dead, but that's where that name comes from.
Sure,
that's right. These last three are very much more audio entries into the lexicon. Not that the others weren't, but it's more about the sound than the words.
Hooked on phonics.
Yeah, exactly. So this one is a little tiny supercut of something that's we go back to Toronto Mike Triggers, something that we've talked about in the past.
Jukebox.
And this one is a very strong one. Let's.
Chome in Montreal.
Yeah.
I hope I said it right. Chome. Chome. I hope I say this right. Chome to rime with ohm.
Potential ringtone.
Chome days. Of course, Mad Dog, who's also a good FOTM, moved to Montreal to be on Chome. Spider Jones.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good. Well done.
Yeah. Just a nice little.
Now I'll be self-conscious of it.
No, don't be self-conscious. Lean into it.
Chome.
In the
Chome.
It's fun.
Spider Jones.
When Brendan Canning had the mind blow that it was Bobby Wiseman that produced the gong.
Wait, who did you give that credit to? Ian Blurton.
Ian Blurton. Sorry,
not Brendan Canning.
Sorry, not Brendan Canning. Ian Blurton.
Thank you.
FOTMcast.
You regret that error?
I do regret the error. There were two little sounds that you made that are really. They're the sounds of your mind blowing. So I'm just going to play them very quickly here.
Okay.
There's that, and then followed up by this one.
That is the sound of my mind blowing.
Yeah, and then this one.
Oh my god! Hold on. I'm giggling.
It's like
I'm giddy. No, that's the sound. I'm literally giddy.
Yeah. So once again.
Okay.
Sort of a gasp.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Hold on. Sometimes when the mind in real time, remember we don't.
Yeah.
Nothing's in post, right? So when I do receive the mind blow in real time, sometimes it overloads the circuits.
Yeah. Sure.
And you just make a noise like.
Yeah.
Go up like 4 octaves.
I think,
and I'm so excited because I guess I feel like, there's another one, and that's why we do this.
Yeah,
totally.
I think the first time you made a sound like that was when Retro Ontario revealed that Uncle Bobby was on the set of Network.
Oh my god!
I'm still. That's a huge moment.
Brains on the wall.
One quick aside on that note, which is why I prefer the in person. So in person, you'll get all that in real time. I'll react if you're talking, whatever. But when it's a Zoom, because of the way Zoom works, is if somebody's in the middle of a mind blow story like Ashley McIsaac, I shut the fuck up until they pause.
Yeah.
So I might have had several of those coming out. I actually suppressed them because I don't want to. I'm afraid the Zoom will prefer my audio and then interrupt. So in person, you get the mind blow sounds that you might not get with a remote.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
No, is it though? Is that a
no? Honestly, it is. It's just sort of a little mechanical.
It's true.
thing.
So when the remote, I actually tell myself once they start talking, I shut up until they pause. Where in person, I'll happily talk over my guest because fuck, it's my show.
All right, so that's it for Lexicon.
Sibbery would find that interesting. Even
so we're skipping. Are we skipping WikiLeaks because you did it?
Yeah,
do we have any more?
WikiLeaks were good.
Okay, we're good.
No.
So it's time to break the law.
oh my god, this is for Midtown Gord here. Let's do it.
Breaking the law, 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 breaking the law. So much for the golden
Boom.
future.
Breaking the law. Fact checks.
How many have you got?
Not that many. Not that many. I do have an announcement, a very exciting announcement to make as well. I know you've said that this is your least favorite segment.
Well,
of
this is the
FOTMcast.
part like I can already feel my back gets up and I'm ready. Like I get a little defensive.
You're good.
Right.
You're good. No need to be defensive.
I've started now since you've introduced this breaking the law thing.
Yeah.
I now find myself like it'll hit me 20 minutes after the episode, I'll say, "Oh, I said the wrong name." I'll be like, "I regret the error."
Yeah, that's the thing. And the thing is, a lot of things get said on the show. You're doing 60 episodes a quarter. You're gonna say
Cam looks so serious. Like he's like, yes. He's got this nod. Like he's like, yes.
It's
okay.
It happened to me just a minute ago. I said Brendan Canning. I meant Ian Blurton. I regret the error.
CanCon. It's ConCan.
That's right.
I can't get that right.
No, it's tricky.
I do want to announce that we have a contest starting.
Oh my God.
Very exciting news.
Wow. Who's left to hear it?
Well, nobody. So it'll be very easy to win.
Moose is gonna get it.
So again, to be clear, these things happen because you and your guest, not because you're sloppy or careless. Far from it. Just it's volume. There's so many things. It's happening real time. It's off the cuff. Sometimes mistakes get made, but mistakes must be corrected. So I'm excited to announce this new contest, the first of its kind for FOTMcast, possibly the first of its kind anywhere. Someone can fact check that. I want all of our keen-eared listeners to pay special attention to incorrect facts, mistruths, alternative realities. When you hear something, I want you to send it to FOTMcast@gmail.com.
Wow, our own Gmail address.
Our crack staff are going to sort through the entries, and one lucky winner will receive an FOTMcast fact checker prize pack, which
Wow.
will include some pretty sweet swag autographed by the official fact checker of the TMU, Mr. Robert Lawson.
Wow.
I haven't talked to him about this yet, but I'm sure he's going to be cool with it.
He's around.
So
you just got to go to Cloverdale.
So keep your ears open. If you hear anything that's wrong on this show, send it to FOTMcast@gmail.com, and we're going to have some very exciting prizes for you.
Okay, that is exciting.
Let's get into it.
Are we eligible?
We are eligible, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
Okay, exciting.
All right. At TMLX, this one's on me. I saw Gord and Tom, YYZ Gord and Tom. I looked at Gord and I said, "Hey, Tom." And I felt so bad.
That's a big mistake.
That was a big
They've been to most.
I know. I mean, and obviously, I know who Gord is. I know who Tom is.
Sure.
It was just my dad was with me. I was going to introduce them.
Going as pasta.
Roger
There's
was
pasta
there.
everywhere.
It was his birthday.
Snow is coming.
Yeah.
Something had to give.
Oh, did you know? So Snow, I thought he might be there for like opening bell at 6:00, but he wasn't there at 6:00. But Troy Birch said there were people who worked at GLB on the patio, so not on our part of the lawns there, who had been sticking around because they heard Snow was coming, and he wanted to confirm with me that Snow was still coming. And I actually phoned Paul Farberman to see how far away was Snow, and he was like 20 minutes. But that's the kind of attention Snow was drawing.
So they were like off the clock. Their shift was done.
Right.
Yet they stuck
and they were
around.
hanging around at the patio because they wanted to see Snow.
Wow.
It's wild.
All right. Anyway, so Gord, Tom, I regret the error. On Toast recently, Mike, you referred to Lily Collins, star of Lily in Paris and not Emily in Paris.
Never seen
Mike-
the fucking show. I think Monica watches
Mike
it.
apparently does not regret the error.
I don't regret that one.
Although
at all.
technically Lily had to go, it's filmed in Paris, I assume, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
yeah. so
Lily is in Paris.
Yeah,
so.
that's true.
it's Emily in Paris, and it stars. But I was right. Lily Collins, daughter of Phil Collins.
Phil Collins, that's right.
Okay,
Yeah, that's correct. You were
All right.
absolutely
Sorry,
right.
his daughter is in that show?
Yes.
Yeah, she stars in that show.
Yeah, she is the titular
See?
Emily in
Cam
Paris.
just got his mind blown.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I know he had a daughter who acted.
We heard this played earlier in the show, but Mike got the wrong version of "Steal My Sunshine" for Brendan Canning. Definitely
I
regrets
fucked
the
that up.
error.
I fucked that up.
Graham Stairs repeatedly misgendered Baron Cadell.
Yeah, I tried to correct.
You did try.
Controversial one.
Yeah. Does he regret it? Who's to say?
But I did notice that I did try to correct him.
You did.
And then I did explain what the confusion, which is at the time that Graham knew Marin,
Sure.
he was going by the pronouns she, her.
Yeah.
And now goes by the pronouns he, him.
Yeah.
And Graham continued to misgender.
He sure did.
It's almost not quite dead naming, but
Yeah.
it's getting there.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
not sure.
Version of that.
Who's to say if he?
I took note of this as well,
Yeah.
VP.
Yeah. And then this is a big one, I think. Andrew Scott, who we just talked about, he very loudly, very boldly claimed that Sloan had won no East Coast Music Awards.
Yeah, he did. And I've been quoting him.
Yeah, they actually won 5 East Coast Music Awards. 1996 Alternative Recording of the Year, 1997 Alternative Recording of the Year and Group of the Year, 2002 Video of the Year for If It Feels Good, Do It, 2004 Video of the Year for The Rest of My Life, and 2007 Rock Recording of the Year for Never Hear the End of It.
Yeah.
See, that fact he dropped did not pass my sniff test, but I did not even bother to.
Well, what are you
confirm
gonna
it
do?
Because
Yeah.
I figured he's not going to make that mistake.
Yeah.
He's a member of at least 25% of Sloan.
Exactly.
He must have been thinking of some other YTV Achievement Award or something.
No, but
like,
he's,
I don't know. Like, what's
he's
he
from
thinking of?
Halifax, for God's sake.
Yeah, like, how would they know what they're
East
fucking
Coast
Sloan?
Music
Yeah.
Awards?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
anyway.
shocking. I mean, Jail can't win them all.
Yeah, exactly. So Andrew, I hope you
Joel
regret the error.
Plaskett wins it again.
Sure.
Wow.
That's all I got.
And Super Friends. Oh, I met. Okay, so
Super Friends.
who's the guy from Super Friends? Matt Murphy.
Matt Murphy. Yeah.
Matt Murphy was at that Sloan garage sale. I saw Matt Murphy there.
Okay.
You must have invited him over?
Not yet. I didn't know he was like local.
Yeah.
I don't think I knew he was like a Toronto guy.
Not really cousins with, like Chris always said that was his cousin, but I don't think they're.
Well, they were very close, yeah. And there's a lot of crossover.
They're like
back then.
cousins, but they're not.
Okay, so we have one more category, right?
We do.
Let's see if we can hit this in 3 hours. But here we go.
Take me for a ride on a slow bus to China. Tell me where in the world is
Stu Stone.
Greetings and salutations, Toronto Mike. This is the Bobcat. No, it's not. It's not. It's really Stu. Stu Stone, for those that don't know, Hall of Famer. Just wanted to drop in for my monthly check-in. Where the hell is Stu Stone? But before I do that, I wanted to wish Toronto Michael a very happy birthday this
thank
past
you.
week. Hopefully it was great. I know we had a big bash. I saw snow was there, so it was. There were flurries in summer at the Toronto Mike birthday bash at TMLX. Hopefully, I will be at the next one. So the Canadian rappers will still be represented at the next TMLX. But in the meantime, I am very north of Toronto right now, but heading back into the city very soon. So hopefully that will include a basement trip, as I have promised Mike via text. Shout out to all the FOTMs, all the FOSSs, and hope you are ready to finally enjoy summer. Looks like we're finally getting some real summer now. So enjoy, love you, and I'll see you soon.
Well, how far north is he talking?
Very
Like,
non-specific.
why not tell us?
where is he?
Why
I
don't
wanna
you
know
tell
where
us where you are
doesn't want to
far
reveal
north of the
his-
city? Like, is he in Aurelia?
Who's to
Is he
say?
in Sudbury?
North Bay.
But there's always a stair climber because he's always putting on Instagram like he's always on these
Oh
stair
my God.
climbers.
Is
They
he
have,
in,
they have stair climbers.
looking
in
for Bill
Northern.
Barocco and Cochrane Lake?
Yeah.
Kirkland Lake? I can't remember the name of these lakes. Hey, you did a great job, Tyler Campbell. That's why you're in the Hall of Fame.
We all did a great job.
Yeah.
You did a great job. And Cam, always good to see you.
Yes,
and
thank you.
I'm just going to check the timestamp. I did check. It was, oh, you know what? I think this episode of FOTMcast is going to be the same length as the previous episode of FOTMcast.
Wow. How about that?
Crazy.
And both were too long.
Yeah. There's so much material to go.
Yeah, there's just too much material.
Yeah.
So my pledge to you is that for the next 3 months, I will slow my roll.
Thank
I know
you.
I've probably said that in the past.
You have
but,
many times.
I don't know if we could ever get like another like Ashley McIsaac and Snow in the same quarter.
How
But
do
then
you
I
know?
remember the previous quarter we got the
knows?
Scott Thompson and the Alan Gregg.
Yep.
Yeah. Plus
So-
CNN and
Just keeps coming.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much. What a great recap.
course.
Let me check in on the live stream here, see if we still have. So, yep, Jeremy Hopkins still standing. Lawson just popped out of the bushes. And then Jeremy points out he was one of the final 3 people at TMLX 19.
Wow.
By the way, we have a 1236 confirmation that Sue Medley was number 1 on Much Music. June 8 and June 15, 1990.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I just can't believe that was the number one song. With all due respect, respectfully.
Wow. And Snow told 1236 some more detail about how he got banned from the Bay.
Okay.
So that when I can confirm Snow back in the basement in September. So
perfect.
So this, July, August, September. Oh, that will be the next quarter.
That'll
so
be
we're
the
going to
next
need
quarter.
another 3 hours
Yep.
for the next FOTMcast. Hey Ref is still with us on the live stream. I don't know if he fell asleep. Leslieville.
I think Leslie went to work and came back, and we were still going.
Oh yeah, so she left.
She just said that.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, we're wrapping now. We go 3 hours of these things. Good to see Moose Grumpy's still there, and
Carlos Delgado.
Future Hall of Fame.
Still not in the Hall of Fame.
No.
Well, we're going to try to get Dave Steve back in the Hall of Fame next week. That's
Love it.
very important. And that brings us to the end of our 1,721st show. Who has 3 hours for this? Like, I guess you can listen at like twice the speed or something like that. Burn this thing in 90 minutes. But oh my goodness. Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs. Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery. Thanks again, Great Lakes, for hosting us at TMLX 19. They'll probably host us at TMLX 20 at the GLB Brew Pub. More on that. We got a tentative date in September, but more on that later. Palma Pasta. They fed us, and the food was delicious. Everybody had a good time. And thank you, Leslie, again for the cookies. Not a euphemism, everybody. Toronto Maple Leafs Baseball. Check it out, Christy Pitts. We love TML Baseball. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. I thought Cliff Hacking might appear at TMLX 19, but
No Cliff Hacking.
couldn't make it. But we'll get him at the next one. Building Toronto Skyline. Nick Iannis will be at the next one. He wants to talk with Lanrick, who I bumped into at the Pride Parade yesterday.
I saw you got a photo.
Yeah. And of course, Ridley Funeral Home. They got a great podcast called Life's Undertaking. Much love to Brad Jones, who was at TMLX 19. See you all Wednesday when Cliff Thorburn makes his Toronto Mike debut. He's a snooker champion. See you all then. I got that in. Good. I wanted to get that in.
Perfect.
Okay. Hold on. I'm shutting down this video now.